Man, that beat was a lot shorter than what I realized. I hoped it was going on for a little bit longer. What's up, Mr. Uganda? Thank you for coming through. I hope to goodness that there is some word on Anja, because if I don't hear from her by, I believe, the first week of February, I'm going to try to contact the district attorney and write about her if I don't hear anything from her. So thank you for letting me know that. Today we're going to talk about the uproar that Cameron has started, which is simply declaring that he's a Black American, and other content that I want to bring up, because Ghana had a so-called convention that was supposed to happen, I believe, yesterday in Accra, Africa, or Ghana, whereby Dr. Ericana and a few other speakers were supposed to show up for this Pan-African convention, and it was canceled by Ghana's government. So much for Pan-Africanism. I think it's funny as fuck. But what's so funny is a lot of people around the globe paid to go to Ghana to see these speakers, and it did not happen. So all that money, flying and carrying on and getting a hotel and all of that, they wasted all that money for nothing. It was a no-show. And I would like to know the reasonings behind why they pulled back from having the convention. It's going to be a very interesting excuse, I'm sure. If you guys have not yet, please do me a favor by liking the video. I do understand I have a lot of haters, though, so I'm not surprised if you don't hit the like, because you're seething inside that, you know, how dare I speak against Pan-Africanism, but it is a figment of your imagination. It has always been a figment of imagination, because it does not exist on Africa continent. It does not exist at all, only for the people that's making money grifting off of the name of Pan-Africanism. Those are the only ones that's gaining from Pan-Africanism. So we're going to get into what Cameron had to say. Again, I hope more and more people are going to start speaking up about our identity more boldly, because in my opinion, the FBA is going to me, eventually is going to be targeted as being a hate group, in my opinion, because a lot of people are constantly arguing with Tariq Nasheed, and it's being labeled more and more and more as a Islamophobic group. So I don't want no association with FBA, but you can't call Black Americans Islamophobic, because that's what we were called before the name change. What's up, Kiki? How you doing?
I'm looking at my license. It doesn't have a color on it, though. It doesn't.
Because your face is the color now. What year did you get your license? I don't know. Different states have different stuff. We don't even got to go into the license. When you go fill out a test when you're in school and they ask you this, that, and the third, this, that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. And I know we got to get back to our topics. We already a few minutes in. I'd rather feeling black than African American, because Africans don't even fuck with us.
Wow.
Because they don't.
And Americans do?
Well, you're American, Mace. You're born in America. When you go to the Olympics, and when I say African American, you go over there, they call us Yankees and all that. They fuck with us, but we're not from the motherland. We're from America. So I'd rather say I'm a black American. When we go to the Olympics as a country, and somebody black is fighting from the United States, you don't say African American, you say American. You don't even put a color on it. It's an American fighter fighting a European fighter, or China or Japanese or anything. You're known in the Olympics as an American. It doesn't matter what color you are. You're an American fighting against somebody from Cameroon or Senegal, whatever. The point being is they don't categorize it when it's world competition, but when it's other shit, it needs to be categorized. So I consider myself a black American. I don't consider myself an African American. And shout out to all my niggas in Africa. Much love. But y'all don't consider us real Africans. Y'all don't. That's that.
He said it nice and plain and simple for all to understand. And that's the gospel. That's the truth. If that was true that we were considered Africans, then why didn't I hear about this 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago? I've been living for 52 years and I have never, ever heard Africans refer to Black Americans as Africans until this Pan-African push. And the reasonings behind it is because of our money, our dollar. They want our dollars towards their economy. That's all this has always been about. And it's a good thing that we're waking up from the spell that people have been trying to place on us. Now, there are some people that are still delusional. They're still living in the past, thinking about Marcus Garvey and all these other make-believe characters that claim to want to go to Africa, but they never went. Marcus Garvey could have went to Africa and he never stepped foot in Africa. So much for his so-called leadership in bringing so-called Black Americans to Africa. Now, interesting. Of course, this had to happen, y'all. This had to happen. The live just cut off out the blue like that. Man, the devil is a lie. My God. I wanted to talk about Tariq Nasheed's live that he did yesterday. And again, just Cameron saying a little bit about what he said has got people rattled about our identity. And I don't understand why people are so invested in what we claim. But again, this was not this was not the case years ago. People weren't tripping off of us like that. And now all of a sudden, everybody got all eyes on Black Americans, and it is a little bit annoying. So I want to play what he had to say. Let me see what you're saying. He said, but you know, I was reading something and it said Marcus Garvey really didn't have any interest in Africa. So I'm confused. Why do they keep connecting him with Africa? I'm so confused. Yeah, I don't know why people still want to give so much credit to Marcus Garvey when he didn't do anything. He grifted Black Americans is what he did. He grifted Black Americans is all he did. And so for them to try to revamp his so-called legacy and try to put it on us, again, imposing this movement onto Black Americans 100 years later, that's why I'm really offended, because it's like it was dead in the water then. It's definitely dead in the water now. And so anyways, it's never been a benefit for us as Black Americans to claim Pan-Africanism, because it's about us spending money towards Africa and not ourselves. It's about bankrupting ourselves in America and give to Africa and leave us with nothing. We're already spiraling out of control. Many of us are having hard times with inflation, with high rent, with everything under the sun in America, we really can't afford to have that mindset, in my opinion. He said maybe that's why it's not working, because they can't clearly define what the movement is. Again, it is all about what so-called diaspora, which we're not diaspora, we're not from Africa, we don't have a home country in Africa. Even if they designated a home country in Africa, it's not our home. So it's a figment of imagination. Again, let's listen to what Tariq had to say. I thought this was a pretty good live yesterday that he did, and I like what he had to say in reference to our identity.
Build a bridge. All you got, the men over there can't build a bridge, or they're going in. Says some of the tethers are damn near agreeing with him. Now y'all stay in our comment sections going in on us. The minute we say, hey, we're just delineating, we're our own ethnic group, y'all flood the zone whining to us. But white mommy, white daddy are going in on you. And the thing is, we're letting you hold your own nuts because they ain't talking about us. See, they're used to, when the white supremacist starts attacking things going on in Africa, they're used to us jumping to the rescue. They're used to us going in there jumping to the rescue for them. We ain't really doing that. We're letting, hey, speak up for yourself. Because they ain't talking about us. We can build bridges. In fact, some of the earliest bridges in the Americas were built by us. We built some of the earlier infrastructure. Go get this children's book, Hidden Heroes from A to Z. This is why you need this book at hiddenhistorymuseum.com. We talk about people like Horace King, enslaved architect who built bridges to freedom, born in 1807. This brother right here was an enslaved foundation of Black American who was also an architect who built a lot of the bridges, designed and built a lot of the bridges that's in the South and some of the buildings. So we know how to build bridges. And I'm not trying to diss y'all. So yeah, we know how to build shit. We've been building stuff. We go to even some of the maroon areas where white people weren't allowed, because some people try to use the excuse, well, the white people made you do it. In some of the maroon colonies, the infrastructure was set up, fortified in a strong manner. We had bridges and homes in places where white people weren't even allowed. Yeah? We had foundational Black Americans who are architectural geniuses. Yeah? We ain't talking about us. So y'all need to have that energy, the same energy y'all got in our rooms. Holler at them about clowning y'all. You dig? Holler at them about clowning you. You dig what I'm saying? See, that's why people don't like us delineating. They want to Africanize us so much. And look, we have African genetics. I'm not one of those people who say we have no African genetics. Yeah, of course we got African genetics. Yeah, we have African genetics. That's not a contradiction, but we have a foundational Black American lineage. You dig? When I went over there to Fiji, those brothers and sisters were telling me, they were volunteering this information. They were telling me about their African origin story. They know that they came from Africa. They volunteered this information to me. They told me, man, thousands of years ago, our origin comes out of East Africa. We were mixed in with, what did they call it? There was a country over there called Tonga, something like that. And they were mixed in with the Egyptians. And there were some tribal wars over there where they had to leave. And then they got on rafts and boats and came out into the Pacific. And their specific tribe landed in Fiji. And the brother was telling me about how they kept a lot of remnants in cultural things from Egyptian culture. Sun worship, even the name Ra, they brought that with them, and they named a lot of stuff on the island Ra. A lot of the Ra word is very popular on the island. They told me they get that from African Egyptian culture. You dig? So they're telling me this stuff. They understand their African story. They have no problem with it. But they understand that they had an ethnogenesis. They are now a very specific culture of people, Fijian people. You understand? They understand their culture, and they understand the African origin. They understand that. Same thing with us. See, when I say we're foundational Black American, we still have African genetics. Tanganyika, yes. But we are still a very specific ethnic group. And that's fine. I hate when people try to sit up and tell us what we're not. You niggas are just lost Africans. No. We had an ethnogenesis. We are a new ethnic group. Just like Jamaicans, they became a new ethnic group. This whole thing where we are not supposed to acknowledge our ethnic lineage, that's horse crap. Everybody else gets to acknowledge their ethnic lineage. You understand? We're not lost. We've been rooted and grounded here longer than some of these other people's countries have been around. See, if you go to if you're in my Twitter spaces, I'm always arguing with some of these guys who are continental Africans, but they move somewhere else. And when they try to hold, you need to identify with Africa because you don't know who you are. We know who we are over here. No, we're going to have to keep it a buck. A lot of people don't really know who they are. Because a lot of the countries over there now are relatively new. Those countries over in Africa are relatively new. Those are not ancient lands over there. I had a debate with a tether the other day. Those are not ancient lands. Y'all been colonized and remixed. The languages over there are basically different.
I definitely will write the ambassador to the U.S. Embassy in Gambia. If you can give me that information, I can stow it away, Kiki, because I definitely will be writing about her. Now, the other ladies, I don't feel comfortable writing a petition situation because I have a lot of haters. But me personally making a written letter to somebody, I prefer to do. And then I'll bring up the other ladies as well. And I'll bring up what Anja had to say about her being stalked and whatnot. If we do not hear from her the first week of February, by then, I think that's more than enough time for her to have responded back to us. And Anja, if you are listening, we are looking for you. We want to know, how are you doing? If you're well, please do a video. Show us that you are doing well. Because I don't know to trust a post or anything like that, because someone could take your phone and make a post. So I prefer a video. But we are looking for you, Anja, and we hope that all is well with you, and we are concerned about your well-being. Thank you for reminding me that I could write to the ambassador to the U.S. Embassy. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, and if she can contact or he contact the local policeman, that would be great. What's up, Charlie Shaw? What's up, everyone that's in the clouds? If you have not yet, please do me a favor by liking the video. And what's up, BB Rodriguez? How are you doing? Everybody that's listening. I wanted to, before I go to the Pan-African conference, I wanted to showcase what Tariq had to say. You said no, not nothing yet. I hope that this person that has information on Anja would cough it up. What's taking her so long? Okay, let's go.
They come from different Arab influences like Kiswahili. That comes from the Arab invasion. So we got to understand a lot of the languages and the culture and the tribes that comes from invasions and colonization. So you're not in a better boat. It's not like you've had your culture on lockdown and protected all these centuries. You haven't. That's why we don't let people come over and try to shame us, that you have some kind of cultural continuity that we don't have. Foundational Black Americans have more of a cultural continuity than many of these other people, especially on Africa. They don't have the same cultural continuity that we have. Let's be real. You don't. That's why we can trace our lineage back hundreds of years, whereas a lot of them cannot do that. Yeah? And that's no disrespect. We got to get some straightening here. And another thing that people always try to dismiss with us when we acknowledge the Aboriginal lineage that we have here. The reality is there are Black people
and the reason being is because they don't want us to have a claim to America's soil. Like they want us to be so bad. They want us to be immigrants here in America. That's why you hear people that supposedly in leadership, the NAACP or somebody had the nerve to say that we were also immigrants to America, which is a lie. But this is what they're trying to make us feel, as if we do not belong here. We don't have no claim here. We don't, we are not true Americans and whatnot. But we are the first Americans, irregardless of how people want to place us or claim that we're not.
Of us, and I would say most of us, we have some kind of indigenous history where not only do we have the African lineage, but the lineage of the people that were here for thousands of years. We are 100% mixed in with those people. And we have to understand, not only were there red natives here, there were Black Aboriginal people here. And I'm not, and we do have a lot of Black folks who are trying to claim these red Native American tribes. That's whatever. I don't do that. Because those red Native American tribes, many of them have been infiltrated 100 and some years ago. They've been infiltrated by the white supremacists and the $5 white Indians. They're not even real themselves. They've been infiltrated. Okay? So we got to be very real. But there's been, listen, the stigma that they put on Black people acknowledging their Native American heritage. Or their Aboriginal heritage. There's been a stigma on that, and they had to remix and get people's paperwork and change people's paperwork. And if they saw Black people or Native people who had any inkling of Black heritage, or if they had any inkling of them being classified as Negro, because we got to be very clear. A lot of people who were Aboriginal were classified as Negro. You understand? Yeah, you can't even find a red man now. But look, going into the 20th century, there were a lot of Black people who acknowledged their indigenous heritage. And there were a lot of indigenous people who were trying to hide the fact that they were classified as Negro. Or they had relatives classified as Negro. Yeah, but you had the Walter Pleckers and people like that. There was a guy, there was an actor. What's this guy's name? And y'all look him up. He was Black and Native American, had a little piece of European in him. But he was basically he was a foundational Black American. He was part Native American, and there was some I think his dad was Black, but I think his dad might have been Native American. They might have been Lumbee. What's his name? Buffalo Child Long Lance, something like that. I think he was from Chief Buffalo Child Long Lance. This guy was very popular in the early 20th century. Chief Buffalo Child Long Lance. He was a Native American, and the thing is, his dad was classified as a Negro, and he grew up as in a Negro neighborhood. Went to a Negro school back in North Carolina, and he was under rigid segregation. But when he left, he kind of wanted to hide the fact that he had to go to a Negro school because he was still a Native American, but they would classify him as a Negro. So he left and kind of recreated a different tribal background. He said it was Blackfoot or something. I think he disassociated from the Lumbee tribe because the Lumbee tribe, a lot of them phenotypically look like Black people. So
again, why are people so upset the fact that we claim everything that is associated with our lineage, whether it's white or Indian. We don't worship the white side or the Indian side per se, but we acknowledge the fact that we do have other lineages besides the African. And because we don't exalt the African aspect of it, people are in an uproar. But the reason being is because we are American and we only want to look at ourselves as being Americans overall. And people are really upset about that. I'm hearing people coming for Cameron. A lot of different people are streaming their displeasure, especially Umar Johnson, on what Cameron had to say. Of course, everybody's in an uproar about Tariq Nasheed, and I think Tariq Nasheed, again, is putting a target on his back as far as always talking negatively or joking about tethers, so-called tethers and whatnot. I think that that is not going to fan well. Ultimately, what people writing in and complaining about so-called FBA, I think that if it was made official, FBA would be targeted more because of the rhetoric that Tariq does talk on. And that's why I think that most of us should just go by Black Americans or Indigenous Black Americans to make sure that people that are using the Black American term and they're immigrants, if you say Indigenous Black Americans, they can't claim Indigenous Black Americans because they have not always been here like we have. So that's just my opinion. There are some people that would, die hard for Tariq Nasheed. I'm just not one of those types to put anybody on a pedestal like that because they could fall. In the minute he falls or some scandal comes up about him, what's going to happen to the movement? So I don't want to place all emphasis on one man because he could flip-flop. He could change his mind. He could have a new revelation as far as getting money in his pocket behind the scenes and come up with some whole nother spill in reference to our identity. And I don't think that I would want to place all my emphasis on one man. I just would not, personally.
I think he started saying he was a Blackfoot Indian something. He kind of made up a whole different identity. As far as the tribe, he just claimed a different tribe, even though he was really Native American. So he got accepted in Hollywood. He started doing movies. He started being invited to these upper echelon circles. He was very well respected. White people were bringing him around like, look at this, the noble, savage Native American. So they were parading him around. He was the belle of the ball. And then eventually some people started to question his Native background. They started to question him and started to kind of look back at his background and found out that his dad was actually classified as a Negro. And then they kind of started to unravel his story and saw that, okay, this dude had Black in his family, so all the white people had a fit. Oh, God, you guys had me around this nigger. Oh, I had this nigger in my home. So basically, the guy fell off. So basically, they stopped inviting him around those circles, and the guy ended up killing himself. He ended up committing suicide out here in L.A. He was out here in L.A. and ended up committing suicide because, the jig was up. But yeah, this was a guy, early 1900s. And y'all look him up. But that stigma, they started putting that stigma on cats. Now, they didn't put that stigma on Iron Eyes Cody, who was a real fake-ass Native American. Now, Iron Eyes Cody was another guy. He's the crying Indian who was in that pollution ad in the 1970s. If you grew up in the 1970s, you remember an ad of an Indian on a boat, and he's crying one tear. Very famous commercial. And Iron Eyes Cody, that's his name. He's been around since the 1940s in a whole bunch of movies. He's the noble Native American. Now, Iron Eyes Cody wasn't Native American at all. That dude was Sicilian. The dude was 100% Italian. He had zero Native American ancestry, but they didn't treat him the same way. Even though they found out he was Italian, they still kind of, they didn't do anything to him. They didn't disinvite him, because if you're white, you can still be the $5 Indian. Yeah, you can be a pretendian, for real. Now, black people, you can have a Native American mama, but if your dad black, you black. You have to disavow any Native American ancestry. But if you have African ancestry from 1,000 years ago, then you're supposed to claim the African ancestry. It's all over the place. Now, we got Native American ancestry. Don't you dare claim that. But you can claim the African ancestry from 800 years ago. Yeah? But the reality is, there were black Aboriginal tribes. Speaking of North Carolina, Virginia, there was a tribe out there in Virginia. And that's the thing. There were a lot of tribes that were just busted up. There were a lot of black Aboriginal tribes that were just detribalized, and they just busted the whole tribes up and said, "Hey, y'all niggas." There was a tribe, there was the Acomic tribe, I think I'm pronouncing their name right, out there in Virginia, the Acomic tribe, and they ended up calling them the Jingaskin tribe. And they actually, in the 1600s, from 1640 to around 1815, something like that, they actually had a reservation out there in Virginia. There were these black Aboriginal people who were a Native American tribe. From the Acomic people, they called them Jingaskins, and they had land allotments, and the white people got a little unnerved because this tribe, they were intermarrying with other free black people, who these free black people had the same Native American ancestry, but they were just labeled Negro. So this tribe were familiar with the free blacks, and they were intermarrying these people. They were marrying them. So now you got this black indigenous tribe in Virginia. It's spelled with an A, Atomic. I think I'm pronouncing it right. But look up Jingaskin, the Jingaskin people. You don't hear too much about them. They just kind of busted the tribe up. So yeah, out there in Virginia, they had reservations, the whole shebang. The problem was, around the 1800s, the white people out there in Virginia, they would get nervous because with Native Americans, here's the thing. Native Americans could carry guns. If you're classified as a Native American, you can carry guns. Free black people can't carry guns at that time. At the time, free black people couldn't carry guns. So now you have these black-looking people just walking around freely with guns on this reservation. So the white people were shook. And they're out there in that part of Virginia where if a rebellion jumped off, the white people couldn't get the reinforcements they would need in time. So the white supremacists are very sensitive about backup and water and reinforcements. So if your back is to the water and you're kind of like in an island, peninsula area, and on this side, you got a swamp of some of these runaway blacks, and on this side, you got these Native Americans who look black with guns. Hey, it's like, we got to do something about this. So early 1900s, they're like, look, y'all just niggas. We're going to have to detribalize you. This was the first time they started to detribalize people. The Jingaskin, let me type the name. Let me type the name of the tribe. Jingaskin. That's the name of the tribe, Jingaskin people. So they just detribalized them. Yes, the Acomic people, right. He spelled it right. Accomac, the Acomic people. So the government just basically said, hey, listen, I know you guys are native, but y'all scaring white people. Also, around this time, 1831, the white supremacists really got shook because of the Nat Turner rebellion. So they're like, look, y'all niggas, the tribal land, y'all have to give it back. That's our land because you're Negroes. Now that we classified you as Negroes, give us the guns back. We got to get this land back. Go and mix in with the other Negroes. They just pulled it. I'm white and I say so. All right. So there's so much evidence.
And that has always been the case with our identity, which is really frustrating that every 40, 50 years, our name kept changing and changing, and people are confused on why we feel the need to identify ourselves finally. I think that this should have happened a long, long time ago. I'll get back to that in a minute. I want to see what you guys are saying in the chat room. Thank you, Kiki, for giving me the information. I wrote it down. I have the information. If by February 7th, I have not seen nothing from her, I am going to write soon thereafter. So I really appreciate that. You said that it's taken her so long because she's playing games. Okay, and Mr. Uganda says, I'm eager to see what has happened to Anja. I didn't really notice it until Kiki said it, but the communities is unusually quiet. Yeah, they are. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she updated them privately. I think that if she was seen, people would have went into Kiki's chat room and said, I just saw her eat over here, or I just seen her walking down the road, or I just heard her talking over here. Something. No one is saying it. Pete, I think there's something in my spirit telling me something ain't right. You said, but is just ghosting YouTube? I don't think so. I think she's the type of person that will not say she's being stalked and would not go into great detail and just disappear. I think that she felt some kind of way that scared her, and she wanted to make sure people understood in her own words what she felt was happening to her, just in case. I think that that's what she used the YouTube for. You said, either way, we need an update. Yeah, we do. Charlie Shaw says, I watched an African say nothing when a Jamaican said they were indigenous. No one called him a pretendian. They never do. They're only concerned about us. Everybody is trying to be our overlords. Everybody. We have Caribbeans all over the place trying to tell us who we are. Africans all over the place trying to tell us who we are. And Pan-Africans. But when others speak about their identity, it's celebrated. Oh, yeah, you're a Jamaican. Oh, yeah, you from here. Oh, yeah, you're a Haitian. Oh, yeah, we salute you. No, nothing. If they say anything, they do not question it. They don't argue about it. They just let it slide and ride. But if we say one tittle thing that they don't, if we don't exalt Africa solely, some reason we hate Africa. It's like we've never exalted Africa. We never tripped off of Africa. So why are you surprised that we're not still doing it? That's the part that puzzles me. It's like I have never thought about Africa until people start talking about us so much. When I started noticing Nigerians and Ghanaians and other Africans speak, West Africans in particular, and now it's East Africans speaking about us more, and South Africa speaking about us more. But it was solely in the beginning I noticed West Africans was speaking about us. In fact, Niger just had a live a couple of days ago where he had a live talking about what the Nigerians think about Black Americans. It's like, you guys got 4 or 5 hours to speak about Black Americans, really? That's all they seem to do. They got so many issues in Nigeria that they could be talking about, but they got time to have big panels full of people speaking on Black Americans solely. It's like this obsession. It's really, really getting out of control. You said, Mr. Uganda, she liked doing social media. I don't think she would just walk away like that. I don't think so either. I think that around the holidays, she should have came, especially after the New Year, because a lot of spiritual people believe in the New Year meaning something. You got to cleanse. You got to get ready for the New Year. You got to do this and that and the third. Why wouldn't she do a live talking about the New Year? I can understand maybe skipping Christmas, but I don't think she would skip New Year. I don't think New Year she would skip. Mr. Uganda says, Tariq's content isn't that bad, to be honest. I feel like there is way more inflammatory content that no one cares to flag. Listening to it now sounds educative. At times, that's why Tariq Nasheed is very slippery, because at times he does do what he did in this last video I just showed, educate. He informs, he empowers. And then he goes, like I said, when the heat seems to get on him, when people start questioning different things that he does and how he moves about the museum or how he's moving about making money and whatever, then he seems to go back into that mode of, bashing or criticizing or joking about the Black immigrant class more so. I think it's like a shield for him. I think he uses it as a shield, and that's why I'm over it. It was funny in the beginning, maybe 3-4 months in. It was funny. And then after like 4 months of it, I was like, come on, dude, it's getting old. And he's still riding strong on it. It's like everybody seems to think that that's the go-to to feel good about themselves. And that's the part that I'm having an issue with, because you should be feeling good about progression. You should be feeling good about getting the name FBA recognized by our government or something tangible that we have acquired or accomplished. But we have not done anything progressive. So that's why I can't continue, on this celebration of joking around. I can't personally do it no more. Sometimes it's funny, but more so now, to me, it's a turnoff. Mr. Uganda says, Kiki, I trust your instincts and we'll see what you and 4Black say on this. Yeah, I'm going to do another video on her, maybe pick out her greatest videos, because there's a lot of videos I have never seen of Anja. And I'm going to go through her videos in a little bit. I've been sleeping lately. I've been trying to get my rest on, but I have been wondering about her. And I thought hopefully after Kiki did the video that she would have done a quick clip of a video saying, I'm okay, stop worrying about me or something. Anja could simply say. Mr. Uganda says, Kiki, I trust. Oh, you already said that. Charlie Shaw says, Mr. Uganda, it's not that bad. It's just that many people feel it's divisive. He doesn't claim to be a leader. There is nothing to follow. There is nothing to follow. I don't consider him a leader, and he doesn't want to be. He is a leader, irregardless of him acknowledging that fact, because people are following everything that he does. And a lot of people are making it seem like he's the gospel. So even if he does not proclaim to be a leader, people are still acting as if he is. Charlie Shaw also says, Uganda, people just love the distinction it creates from others. People don't respect our lineage, culture, ethnicity, or genetic makeup because they feel it's all inclusive. That's how they want us to be, all inclusive to anybody and all people, which would, again, deaden our identity. And that's what people are hoping to do, make our identity null and voided while they uphold their identity. And that's the part that's very disrespectful and dangerous. And that's why I'm about naming yourself. And that's why I feel Pan-Africanism is attacking Black Americans specifically. That's why they can't get off the topic of our identity. Mr. Ghana says, Charlie Shaw, the people who don't like the content simply shouldn't watch it. To be honest, his content has annoyed me in the past, but I simply don't watch. Problem solved. His content seems fine. At times it can be, but again, I think he does, as a shield, use the rhetoric and the joking to throw off people from criticizing or critiquing him, is what he's using it for. And that's the part, it's like you can't trick us that long, really. And some people are content. Some people are satisfied. And I don't think we should be satisfied. You said, Mr. Ghana, the people who don't like Tariq's content simply shouldn't watch. I thought the book he just promoted was quite informative. And Kiki says, okay, let me know and I will send one also. Okay, I really appreciate that. Right, for Black. And someone would say, I've seen her. Exactly. They could just simply get in the live chat. They could simply just write on the comment of my video, your video, and say, she's been okay. I talked to her. I told her about y'all concern. And maybe she'll come on and do a video, something. It is eerily quiet in the Gambia. And all the pressure they should be feeling to say something. So something is up. Lynn says, true, I have never thought about Africa. And it's like, I'm thinking about Africa now only because everybody's been hyphenating us so much, highlighting us so much, to the point where I was like, let me go research Africa. Let me go understand some of this Ghana President Otto and what the economy is looking like, and what, you know, all these different people are always circling us, talking about what we need to do when they have so much possibility among themselves to do something. It's like, why are y'all skipping one another? Y'all have the numbers. 1.3 billion in Africa, and the so-called diaspora that is in the United States, Canada, UK, wherever. They have numbers, they have money. Why aren't y'all putting pressure on one another? Because they think we're supposed to be the mule for Pan-Africanism. That's what this is all about. And that's why I'm a staunch anti-Pan-Africanist. I am the Pan-African killer, and I don't care. You said, my ancestors told me years ago that they were not African. They said they were Negroes. Exactly. Again, there has never been this outreach. There's never been this pouring of brother, sister, and all this type of stuff until the last 4 or 5 years now. Again, it's an agenda. I believe it's an agenda. That's why I found it very fascinating that President Otto canceled this conference, and I'm about to get into that in just a minute. Lynn also said he explained several times that FBA is a lineage or ethnicity. We do not need to delineate and get away from flat blackness. You said we do need exactly to delineate and get away from. We need to make sure that we are not silenced, because if we put everything on Africa, then where is our voice gone? We can't put our emphasis on Africa and forget about ourselves. That doesn't make sense. Nobody else is expected to do that. People expect us to forget about ourselves, though. And that's the part of Pan-Africanism I can't rock with. Kiki says, right, black anchors of the Gambia, no Anja. Why are they not saying anything? That is interesting. I'm glad you said. I didn't know that they knew each other. Yeah, that's interesting. Why can't they go check on her? They should know where she is right now. That's interesting that they haven't said a word. And if they know something and something happened to her and they never said nothing all this time, wow. That's going to be something.
They even have a marker in Virginia of these people, by the way. I think they got a marker of them. So this stuff is very well documented. So when black people are talking about some of their indigenous ancestry, this is not us making it up. Okay? And this happened all across the board. They were doing this. They just started to reabuse. You had some Aboriginal black people who'd been here for thousands of years. If they had an afro and a big nose, that's a Negro. Go over there with the free blacks. Okay? Because when you start looking at some of the numbers, the map don't be mapping. They told you in 1619, 20-odd black people came on a ship to Virginia. Here's the problem. By 1640, around that time, the census said there was about 2,000 black people in the same area. How did you get from 20 to 2,000 in a couple of damn decades? The math ain't mapping. How do you get to 2,000 black folks? There you go. Shout out to Nikki the God. She just put the ginger skin reservation thing up here. She put a map of it up there. Yes. So it's out there in Virginia.
So in other words, our history is very complex. It's not as simple as everybody likes to make it. Oh, Chinese people, when they come to America, they're still considered Chinese. Well, Chinese people didn't intermingle. They didn't intermarry. They didn't have sexual relations and have all kinds of mixed babies. So we're not the same. And I hate when people try to liken us to Chinese people. It's like we're nothing near Chinese. Chinese people are specifically about keeping their race Chinese for the most part. We didn't have that option. A lot of graping happened. A lot of marriages happened. A lot of circumstances of breeding and whatnot happened where we did not have no control, no say. So we were ultimately forced mixed. So we're not the same as like Chinese people speaking as if, oh, they simply moved to Africa or moved from Africa to America, and you guys are still those people. Like, no, a lot of things happen to our specific ethnicity. That's why we're trying to maintain who we are. And people would like to make us feel shamed about who we are, saying, oh, you want to hold on to the graping of white people? You want to hold on to, if you have Indian you, they were enslaved you? Like, you want us to hold on to slave traders? So what's the fucking difference? What makes slave traders better? I'm confused. What makes them exempt? I'm confused. We just don't have pride in slave traders. Most of us do not have pride with slave traders. People are trying to revamp history, like that stupid ass movie that, what's the actress name? That tried to make it seem like that kingdom, the Dongo or Dugam, what is it called? It starts with a D, that their slave trading history wasn't as bad as it was. And they've been trying to work on changing our mind and revamping and revisiting the history to try to make slave traders heroes. Like, you cannot make the people that portrayed a potential ancestor a hero. And they're trying to make us believe that those people are now our hero. That does not make sense. And it's frustrating, it's annoying, it's disrespectful for people to try to slide that in. And the only reason why we acknowledge the Indian side or the white side, because we can get an actual person with a name, a picture, their history, where they were born, where they were married, where they worked, where they died. We can actually get tangible information on those people. That's why we say it bolder. We can't get a name or where the African situation because of slavery. Whose fault is that? It's not ours. It's not, oh yeah, Dahomey. It's not our fault. Thank you, Dahomey. So they trying to revamp that history and try to make it seem like, oh, these were warriors and these people were heroic. These people we should exalt, miss, and people that trick themselves into doing that, I don't salute you. I think you are a bumbling fool. I think you're disrespecting and spitting in your ancestors' face for all the things that they have gone through and we still are going through, and you want to exalt slave traders? Come on. I'm just not into that. I'm not into that. So let me see. You said, right, our history is complicated. My grandmother was raised on a reservation, and she said her mother, my great mother, was half Native American. Like I said, my father out the blue told me about my great grandfather as being an Indian. I didn't ask him. He just brought it up. So am I supposed to just say to hell with my father? I'm not going to acknowledge what he told me when I was 16 years old for other people's appeasement? I'm not doing that. That's disrespecting my father. Even though we weren't close, I'm still not going to forget about what he said because that's information he told me. Yes, in the movie I'm talking about was the Dahomey, the Woman King, exactly. And I just thought that was such a disrespectful movie because all you had to do was look them up. But they tried their best. Viola, I think her name was Davis, who supposedly was the star of the movie. I didn't go see it. I was not going to support that movie because I'm not into exalting slave traders. I'm never going to do that. So for people to be like, yeah, you're Nigerian, you come from Ghana, you have this blood. So what? I'm not exalting slave traders. Sorry. If you're offended, oh well. And for the ones that are African, that are in West Africa, that are proud of their history, then you're not sorry about slavery. So stop lying. You say you're sorry, but you're proud of your history. Which one is it? They're trying to trick us into believing that they're sorry, but they're not sorry. They're proud. They're proud of what they did to our people, our possible ancestor. And I'm not riding with that. Sorry. I don't care. You said, and I will never watch that film either. I will never, ever support that film. You said, Kiki says they are from Bien Dinas. Amir has a tour there. I would never go on a tour to West Africa. Sorry. I would never acknowledge the treacherous thing that may have happened to my ancestor by that side of Africa. If I was to go to Africa, it would probably be South Africa or Kenya, but I'm not thinking about Africa like that. But if I would go, it would be East Africa or South Africa. It would never be West, ever. It would never. So let's get to why people are upset about a convention that was canceled. 2 months ago, they approved for this so-called Pan-African convention, and they canceled it. So much for Pan-Africanism.
And what you're calling the coup d'etat that's happening in other West African countries, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, all of those are related and tied to the revolution.
I like it because ever since they did a coup d'etat, there are so many news that these countries are rising. They are some of the fastest growing countries in the world. So I'm like, if coup d'etat is what will make Africa great, so be it.
Okay. You can kill the mind of one person, but when we have a set of code or rules that we live by, this is how we live our lives. You can't kill that.
So can you please put on some of the codes right now? Because somebody is there watching doesn't know what the codes are.
Well, this is not the right video. They're supposed to be discussing why did this convention cancel. And even though they have it in the title, they're not talking about it. So let me find a better thing. Again, this convention was supposedly set 2 months ago in November. And it was supposed to be for January 7th. And they all were a no-show. And supposedly, President Otto, so-called Pan-African liar, canceled at the last minute this convention.
The leaders of this country should be ashamed for the cancellation of this program. This is a harmless, educative, informative program. Why are they canceling it? Why is nobody giving us answer? We need answers. The youth should be asking for answers. We are asking just what is happening. And nobody's giving, nobody's answering our question. So yes, I am agitated because as a Ghanaian, this is an opportunity for me to listen to Julius Malema. This is an opportunity for me to listen to Lumumba because Lumumba is in Ghana free of charge, so I should not be able to listen to Lumumba. If Lumumba has been in Ghana several times, it is for pay. When he goes to them, he's welcome. They always, he's in cahoots with them. As well, I can say that Lumumba should listen to me. Now that youth want to listen to you free of charge, you are a Pan-Africanist. Look at what they are doing to the kids who are trying to be like you, who are also inspiring with your words that they want to change something. So Lumumba, wherever you are, the organizers, they should have a press conference telling the whole country and the diaspora that this is what's happening. We need answers. Julius, we know, is an activist. Julius, please, what is happening to this? Yes, I've seen the students here. They should be demanding answers. If we have to even file a lawsuit against the organizers, we should do that because people are coming from all over the country. Who is leading this?
Just think about an American that spent over $1,000 to fly, the hotel stay, for anticipation for this convention, touchdown and everything, to find out the day of there was no people that showed up for the convention. How disrespectful this President Otto is. But he showcases who his true character is about himself. He's about what he wants. He's about whoever is over him, telling him what to do, how to move, or whatever. That's what he's into. He has left a lot of bitter taste, I'm sure, with the Black Americans or whoever from around the globe call themselves spending this money to support this so-called convention. For it not to happen is truly telling, I believe, about the conditions or the mindset of this Ghana president. And again, he's a fraud. He's a fake. He's not a Pan-African. So he can show his ass out whenever he feels like it. I want to hear his excuse. I'm not sure if he will come out and tell why he canceled it at the last second. He had 2 months to cancel it. Enough time for people not to spend money traveling, but he didn't want that to happen. He wanted to make sure you still spent your money touching down in Ghana. This is the type of man that's reaching out to us. This is the type of people I do not support. They're very disrespectful. These are the type of people that will have you start up your business and cancel your business, or take the money and leave you with absolutely nothing. But we're supposed to want to unify with those types of people. This is what he does to Ghanaians.
Behind this, all the world, all over the continent, this is African republicanism. We want our Africanism. Yes, and you can look at behind me. That is a black star. It stands for hope. Yes, today's program was give us hope. Now we are here, and then we are down. We are down. What is happening to our nation? What is the political twist to it? What is the geopolitical twist to this? What is the conspiracy? If there is, they should come out. We need a press release. We need to call them to action. Yes, the organizers, if you are listening to me, please, we need to know why. Give us a reason.
That's all they got, is to hear the sounds of their own voice chanting and carrying on. But Pan-Africanism is a figment of their imagination. And again, that's very disrespectful, having people spend thousands of dollars coming to Ghana. You still kept that money coming to Ghana, but you let everybody down that thought they were about to see a convention. So what they did to correct what they did is have a so-called news conference, and I'm gonna play a little bit of that. This is breaking. This is what they are speaking on. I'm gonna let this news person talk about. Well, let me fast forward just a tidbit. I don't have to listen to her though. And go back a little bit and hear the rhetoric that they were supposed to spill. Again, Pan-Africanism is a figment of imagination, but people that hustle, people that are liars and fraudsters are all on this bandwagon for Pan-Africanism, while they're bankrupting and scamming people into believing in the hype. They continually make money off of your figment of imagination of Pan-Africanism.
At the press conference where our correspondent James Abeji is there for us. Beloved continent and way forward. To my right, Honorable Peter Obi, same message.
And of course, the grand person that is the fraudster of them all that I know of is this Dr. Ericana. People put her on a pedestal because they like the way she fierily speaks on Africa. They like the rhetoric that she constantly speaks on, and her rhetoric is about the diaspora paying towards Africa is what her rhetoric is about. Her rhetoric is about our reparations going towards a fund to Africa. Her rhetoric is about bankrupting us and leaving us with absolutely nothing, and us self-sacrificing ourselves towards Africa's goal, towards their upliftment, not ours. But this is the person that was fired for fraud. This is the person that was the ambassador to the United States to the African Union. And this is the main person that does all these speeches speaking about Pan-Africanism. Has an ADDI database collecting people's information and money towards her bond that she had gotten, $500 million bond from someone. She would not name the diasporan. I believe it's Akon, because he borrowed $1 billion from China. And she's been trying to garner our money towards her debt that she self-imposed on herself. She thinks that we're supposed to foot the bill. That's what her Pan-Africanism is about. How can we get y'all to foot the bill for what we do, our corruption, our lifestyle, our clique, our tribe, our friends, our family? How can we get you to pay towards our debt? That's Pan-Africanism.
Judge, they know that Africa's future is in the hands of our youth. So New Africa Foundation specifically requested us to come and address African youth, starting with the youth in Ghana. And from what I'm hearing, the youth had actually come from all over Africa, and some came from outside Africa, specifically to hear the message of empowerment, the message about our future, the message about the miseducation of not only our youth, but us as Africans, the message about empowering our children and letting them know that now it is the time for us.
I'm not even sure if this is not propaganda, like they did this on purpose to try to spire some controversy over this no-show as a mind Jedi trick to try to trip people into this notion of we missed out on these great speakers, these Pan-Africanists. We needed to hear this fire. We needed to hear about this movement, and they did not have it. They got together for this news conference, though. And here she is with the rhetoric as usual.
To do what we must do to take our Africa back. For far too long, we have been lied to. For far too long, we have been miseducated. And so as elders, those of the ones who are sitting with me today, and many others, we understand that we have failed our youth. But we do have a responsibility to make it right.
Do not take photos like this. Instead, do this. Put the flashlight in the gift box.
We do have a responsibility to make it right. And we do know that with our little wisdom and the energy and the intelligence of our youth, together, we can take our Africa in a new direction. That is what we came here to do. And that is what New Africa Foundation has asked us to do. We do know that our leaders cannot lead us on their own. They need all of us. So the message that we were going to deliver to our youth today was the message of hope, the message of resilience, and the message that says the Africa we want can only be built by us for us. And for us to succeed at doing so, we must be united. That the African youth are Africa's future. Without them, there is no future for Africa. And as elders, we have a responsibility to share with them the truth and nothing but the truth. That is the message that we came here to deliver. That is what New Africa Foundation had requested us to do. We may not be at the convention center, but we intend to continue to preach the gospel of truth until we reach the promised land. I have no doubt in my mind that we will get there. Because Africa, the Africans, the people I like to describe as the beautiful, intelligent, sophisticated, highly adaptable, and totally indestructible human beings, the mothers and fathers of humanity, we will get to the promised land. And that's why we're here.
Thank you, Mama Africa.
Okay, I won't bore you to death with all the other speakers, but those were, I think it was supposed to be 4 total. I'm going to wait to hear what their reasonings are for the cancellation as far as the end of President Otto's end, because he's the one that canceled. He should be the one speaking as to why he canceled, having everybody come out. Hundreds, if not thousands of people showed up, y'all. Can y'all imagine? Y'all all thinking y'all about to converge for this so-called grand Pan-African convention, so-called phenomenal speakers, even a past president, or was it a president-elect of Nigeria? Maybe he was an elect. He was said to have won the Nigerian election last term, or this new term, but they gave it to Tinubu. It was supposedly stolen in a lot of hearts and minds of Nigerians, as far as I could tell. But this hope for this convention, dead upon arrival. Why would this President Adu do such a thing? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But again, just like Len said, what's up, Len? Thank you for also coming through. Ghana is bankrupt. They filed December 2023 for the second time. Yes, they did. I'm glad you brought that up. I have a video to show in reference to that. You said, I still can't believe she bought that plantation. I can, because that's her mentality. She thinks she is a true master over us. Think about that. Someone that is not us, that's from Zimbabwe. I don't know if they had a slave trade in Zimbabwe or not, or if her family is associated with that, or overlord, or whatever they used to do. She goes and purchases an actual plantation in Tennessee, an actual plantation, revamps it and lives there as one of her homes. She has many homes, though. She's been very, very busy with other corrupt leaders behind the scenes. She's been rubbing elbows with various heads of states and ambassadors or ministers or whatever they are throughout Africa. So she's in the very thickness of corruption and affiliates of corrupt people. You said she is on her sales pitch setting. Yes, she is. None of it is believable to me, though. I've always seen her as a liar, as she is. She said, wow, they need their money. Are they going to get their money back? Plane ticket, hotel ticket, buying food, whatever, to touchdown, and you find out the day of, like maybe an hour or two, you see like leaflets being passed around saying it's a cancellation. Can you imagine that? You done got all spriffed up. You bought a new outfit. Thought you about to touch hands with Dr. Eric Conner and all these other fraudsters. You thought you were about to be feeling this so-called hope and love for the people, for the Pan-African movement. All this excitement in the air. And then you find out within an hour or two of it supposed to be starting, it ain't happening after all. You milling around this, what do you call it, the Golden Star, where they were at, where they always showcase this yellow star thing. Where is that at? Let me find that real quick. It was a video where they were arguing about what could have happened and they were getting all upset. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, that's what I was talking about. They're in this plaza where it was supposed to be at. What is it called? The Gold Star or Black Star or something like that. But this is where they were.
Is when Monday. And this is what inspired our position to be written out of first place. It was Pan-African movement that created this independence. Why are we here? We are at the Independence Square in order for us to know that, yes.
Oh, the Independence Square, that's where it is. Where that black star is at.
Position, we have law, because we have rules. But today they are telling us they are breaking the old rules. So tomorrow we should be ashamed celebrating our constitution. That is what is happening. So the powers be, and to answer your question, the powers be, if they were to know this is a good thing, I don't think they would have, but because of fear. The fear, the leadership has a fear in mind. They don't want you to be enlightened. But you should teach each and everyone here. You should know the condition. You should know our rights.
Again, they got bamboozled. They got played. Anyone that showed up got played. And it shows you what Pan-Africanism is about. You get played. That's exactly what it is. You are being hustled. It is a figment of your imagination to believe that it is real. But he made sure, this President Otto made sure he didn't miss a buck, though. He made sure he didn't warn you in good time, in due time, so that you could cancel and get some of your money back if possible. Stop some of the money spillage. Oh, no. He didn't stop that at all. Peep game, y'all. He still made money off of fools. And that's exactly what Pan-Africans are. Crash dummy fools is what you are. Let me see. You said, are you kidding? She actually lives on a plantation site. Yes, she does. And she talked about it proudly. If you give me time, I'll find an article where she bragged about it. She even allowed the bloodline of the plantation owner to live at the plantation with her until he was able to find a place to go. They lived together for a time and became good friends and family, y'all. Good friends and family. Oh, yeah. I let them stay. And we got to know each other. The owner of the plantation's family. We got to know each other, this guy. He didn't have nowhere to go right away, so I let him stay. And we became real good friends, y'all. We like family now. And this is the woman that's trying to tell us to join forces with her. She literally praised getting to know the plantation's owner's relative that stayed at the plantation that she bought from him and let him stay for a time, and they are good friends now. Can't make this shit up, I'm telling you. Cannot make this shit up. You said, our ancestors didn't fail us. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them too, and I know exactly what they will want us to be like I am. You said, wow, they need their money, and they're not getting a nickel back, Kiki. That's the thing. That's how Pan-Africans do you. You said, thank you for doing what you do. We appreciate you. Sometimes it is hard, though, Lynn. I got to admit, because sometimes I feel heavy-hearted. I get headaches easy. I get upset because I can't do anything and I want to do something and I don't know quite what to do. This feeling of wanting to do something and you don't know what to do is very nagging. It is very heavy. But I try to showcase this information as it happens as best as I can. I have been wondering where Dr. Eric Connor had fled to because I have not heard from her in a couple of months. But I'm sure that when they had that convention for our reparations, they had 75 different countries show up at Accra. They didn't cancel that convention. Talking about reparations that don't belong to them. They showed up for that, though. Peep game, y'all. 75 different countries talked about our reparations towards a global African fund towards Africa. They did not miss that convention. But for the so-called Pan-African convention where you got 4 speakers, they canceled that one because they got enough money. They got the tourist money. They're not tripping off of that, off of the speeches and all that kind of thing. They made their money. I really want to know what President Otto has to say. And I'm definitely going to tell y'all, if he does say anything, what that's all about. No, she lives in the plantation. She has like 4 or 5 different homes, though. She has a home, at least 2 or 3 homes in America total. I think one in Washington, one in Tennessee. I know she has one in South Africa. I think she has one in Ghana. She has 4 or 5 different homes, y'all. This president, or not president, this past ambassador, Dr. Arikana. You said, Lynn, I do. Nobody deserves that. But that's what happens. You said, I don't feel sorry for these panties. I don't feel sorry no more because I've done the warning. I've been told I'm a self-hater. I've been told I hate Africans. No, I hate hustling of us, though. That's what I hate. I hate us being tricked, bamboozled, and made fools of. I hate seeing us more and more being scammed and lied to and bankrupt more and more and more. That's what I hate. But we're not supposed to protect ourselves. We're not supposed to forewarn ourselves. We're not supposed to care about ourselves. We're supposed to mind our business and let as many people get got. That's what they want us to do. Mind our business, stay quiet. Let whatever happens to those Black Americans happen to them. Don't forewarn them. Don't tell them nothing. Don't make them think. Make them continue to do. No one comes out in droves and say that's fucked up that y'all got scammed by Lou Major. No one comes out talking about these land scams as much. No one talks about whatever type of thing that goes wrong where we're losing money. No one is in an uproar because that's what they expect us to continue to do. And they don't like me for pointing this stuff out because it's common sense and it's right in your face, but people still play dumb like they don't see the writing on the wall. It's too hard to face the truth. You got to hold on to escapism. You got to hold on to lies. That's what we thrive at doing, escapism. That is one of the things that I hope that God shakes us from, escaping from reality. That's why Pan-Africanism is good for fools, crash dummies, because that's what they are. And no, I don't feel sorry for none of them because it's a good wake-up call. When you cough up over $1,000 and have nothing to show for, that's gotta hurt. All that traveling, oh my God, 17, 18-hour flight. Can you imagine? Going through all these different changes, getting patted down, getting screened. God knows if you have to prove you had COVID. I don't know what they do. All these different things you got to go through, all these different changes, showing your passport, all these different things you have to go through to touch down. Finally, you wake up that first morning that you think that this so-called convention is about to happen. You go have breakfast, you go get dressed up, you go do all these things to find out within an hour or two after you touch down, it ain't happening. How dumb do you think those people felt? It's funny. It's definitely funny. You said, The Rock, what's up, The Rock? Long time no see. You said, I still say Dr. Arikana needs to buy her some heels and booty shirts and call Mercy Earl, oh God, to make her to be from the streets and make her money from shithole Africa. Oh, wow. I think that they expose themselves. If you give them enough time, they expose themselves. What's up, Lynn? You said, I agree. Our ancestors accomplished a great deal. I'm proud of them as well. Lynn also says, our ancestors thought they were doing good for others when they asked for other melanated people to come to the United States. They didn't know that they had no morals or integrity. They were, they're out for their own survival. They're out for their own positive end. They're out for what they can get benefit-wise. They're not thinking about being a blessing to us. Nobody is thinking about being a blessing to nobody else, but people expect us to continue sacrificing ourselves, self-sacrificing for others. They look at us as live sacrifice. Because think about the history of all the greats. They literally died for us to move forward. And they think that we should literally put our necks on the line like that for them to move forward. And it doesn't work that way. That mindset is sickening. It is very, very sickening. But that's the mindset of many of these Pan-Africans. And the ones that think like that, they think, oh, look at the Black Americans. They can give up their reparations. They can give up their monies. They can attempt to move to Africa, buy land, do all these different things. They can self-sacrifice. They can risk it all. No one is making others feel that pressure but us, though. That's why Pan-Africanism is anti-Black American. It's written right in front of your face. You said, yes, the story is way heavy on your heart. Yes, it really is. It really is. You said all panties do is scam people. That's all they do. They bless themselves. No matter what, the people that made money in Ghana, as far as all the tourism and the hotels and whatever, they got blessed, though. The people that came out foolishly, they became crash dummies for a convention that never occurred. But this is not the first time that I have reported on a fraud such as this. Like I told you, Stone Man Festival back in 2019, the leap year, this Dr. Mambe, who has a show, she so-called had the Stone Man, was supposed to do a festival for that leap year that ended on 29th of February. It was supposed to begin around that time, rather. The guy got fired that was the Stone Man. And I found the video, and he was speaking in his language, but it titled, he got fired. So there was no festival on the dates that she had been talking about. It was supposed to be on a 4-day or 5-day event with the Stone Man. Well, he did not show up because he was fired. She still ran as if that Stone Man Festival was going to happen, garnered all that money, all those donations, this Dr. Mambe. And how I found out, confirmation-wise, is Black X had posted on her comment section saying that she was sorry that the convention or the Stone Man Festival was, she did not show up. She was sorry. She said sorry for this lady, this Dr. Mambe who promoted this Stone Man. Instead of her saying sorry, she had Black X say sorry. And days later, they had a fake mock festival of the man show up, but it was not on the dates that it should have been on. Maybe they convinced him to show up and they taped it late. But that was the fraud. The days that it was supposed to be on, it was supposed to happen. It did not happen. Those people that believed in that Stone Man Festival in the Gambia, by the way, they didn't have it on those dates. That's the first one that I caught as a fraud. Now, this is a second one. Pan-Africans or Africans that use this Pan-African talk are nothing more than hustlers. That's all that they are. Charlie, where is the rock's heart? 10 to be exact. Okay, let me go back. Okay, Lynn says, I can't understand how we think we can be one or panny with people who ancestors sold our ancestors. It would never happen. It doesn't make sense because there has not been no respect built, no trust built. With all the scamming, how can you trust? Doesn't make sense. But again, once it happens, oh, that was 2 years ago. Why are you still talking about that scam? We still need you to invest for this and that and this. We're not supposed to ever wise up to the truth. We're never supposed to see things as they are. They want us to keep ourselves in this mindset that we are delusional, clueless, and we would just do as we're told. Let me see. Mr. Uganda, where you been hiding? Okay. All right. So what I want to do, I'm going to try to find that article where Dr. Irikana, while I look for it, I'm going to have this play because Ghana still is in bankruptcy, just like Lynn, I think M had mentioned. Let's listen to that while I look up the Plantation.
Despite the $3 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund, Ghana has essentially gone bankrupt. This is the 17th time which the Ghanaian government will be going on bankruptcy since its independence in 1957. The Ghanaian government has filed for bankruptcy after failing to pay billions of dollars it it owes to international creditors in December. According to the report by New York Times, President Nana administration has no choice but to agree to a $3 billion loan from the lender of last resort, which is the International Monetary Fund, which helped to explain Ghanaian financial crisis, in which government administration owned billions to contractors and were in serious debt crisis. The media outlet noted that the financial crisis had far-reaching effects, with many contractors laying off workers, increasing the country's unemployment problem. Emmanuel Cherry, the chief executive of an association of Ghanaian construction company, recently disclosed that government back payments to contractors amount to a staggering 50 billion cedi, which is roughly $1.3 billion before interest. The report also disclosed that Ghanaian government was owing independent power producers about $1.58 billion and is in the danger of experiencing total blackouts across the nation. The major cause of this is as a result of the political crisis going on across the region, the West African coast, as a result of the current coup going on in some of the West African states. And also it can be traced to the corona pandemic of 2019 and also the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which blocked some supply of major commodities or products, and also the hike in the cost of food, and also the fuel price, which is as a result of the removal of the fuel subsidy in Nigeria. The fuel subsidy removal in Nigeria also has affected the Ghanaian government because some of the products that are meant to the people of Nigeria are being exported to the Ghanaian people, and which made petroleum products to be a bit cheaper.
Again, all he's about is continuing to get his monies that he's borrowing from the IMF so he can pocket and his cronies can pocket as much as possible and indebt the Ghanaians for eons. And the reason why he wants to include us is in hopes that some of our dollars can help pay towards debt, making us debt slaves to their debt. Again, it is not a good win for us. There is not a benefit for us, and that is why Pan-Africanism does not make sense at all. We see how they're moving. We see how things are. We see how these people are really. If you really investigate or research, you can find out things about these people talking. And as I stated, this Dr. Ericana, who's a Zimbabwean doctor, she buys the slave plantation, transforms it to Africa's house in Tennessee. That's what she did. It says an African doctor buys a former Tennessee slave plantation and turns it into a cultural sanctuary with the goal of revolutionary healthcare in Africa countries, so she says. We can all say that we've seen some amazing ironies in life, but few have experienced one like Dr. Ericana, Zimbabwean born. Again, they make sure that you know where they're from. They make sure you understand they have a tribe, they have a culture, they have their identity. And this same person will turn around and tell us we're not to think of ourselves as Americans. We're supposed to think of ourselves beholden to slave traders. It's sickening. It's sickening. She and her husband are both highly touted physicians. After completing her undergraduate education at Fisk University, she went to Meharry Medical College and earned degrees in general chemistry, a master's degree in organic chemistry, and a doctor of medicine degree. I want to go to the part where she talks about the person who had to live still at the house because this irony is a trip. It says, but it was what was to come that blew her and everybody away. The couple that had owned the home was once extremely prosperous. They had just lost a beloved mansion and were forced to sell what remained of their family's legacy. Their family's legacy owning a plantation. And they were not prepared either psychologically or physically to leave when their property was sold to a wealthy African woman. They had nowhere to go. Dr. Ericana could force them to move out of the house immediately, or she could give them a grace period and allow them to stay a while longer. She didn't force them out. but it was then that she learned the rather startling news. She just purchased Chapman clearing, parts of which had been in the same family since the year 1799. Chapman clearing was a name given to it by the locals because the landowner was known to tell everyone to clear the land. The Chapman family history is the history of America. The family patriarch was an officer in America's Revolutionary War. In 1799, he bought 200 acres of land in Tennessee, then moved there from Virginia with his family. The Chapman family was to buy, sell, and pass parcels of land down to generations for the next 200 years. Chapman men fought in the Revolutionary War, the Battle of New Orleans during the War of 1812, and the Civil War. Enslaved Africans and their descendants worked the land for decades, including a few that decided to stay on the property after the South lost the Civil War. The sprawling property Dr. Ericanna now owned had once been part of a 300 acres that belonged to the former owner's great-grandfather, who had been a slave owner. The place now known as Africa House has once been the part of a massive slave plantation. Now, he just felt it was an insult losing his home, then losing it to a Black woman. But in the end, he was glad he did because we let him stay there. He said that if a white person had bought it, they would have wanted him out by 5 p.m. that very day. He said that ironically, it took 2 Africans to help him out. We changed his entire mindset about Black people, said Chia Hombre, the Dr. Ericanna. She had compassion for this guy who was a racist, okay? Because they're one and the same. She and her husband eventually allowed them to stay in the house for 3 months free of charge. Can you imagine? Has she helped Black folks up 3 months free of charge? And it didn't matter to her that he had initially been upset that a Black family bought his mansion, but it's not a Black family, it's an African family. That's the part that we need to get straight. Because if it was a Black family, they would not let him stay for 3 months. Someone like her, who is not connected to the pains of America, who is African from Zimbabwe, did. But all of a sudden, she gets the Black family tag. Isn't that beautiful? See how easy they can dip in and out? How it meets their agenda to be able to mask themselves in our identity whenever they feel like, and then go back to the African identity whenever she wants, dip in and dip out. It goes on to say that she said he even grew fond of her entire family and looked forward to their visits there during his extended stay. It didn't matter what the history of the property included, a time during which it was a slave plantation. It didn't matter that the history of the property included a time during which it was a slave plantation. The man completely changed the way he sees Black people. Now it's Black people. And that's what it's all about. Their preconceived notions of Black people are wrong, she remarked. All of a sudden, it's Black people. But she's quick to point out that allowing him to stay there for free was just part of her upbringing in Africa. Then she goes right back to Africa, the African way. To us, it didn't matter that he was white. We did that based on our African upbringing. That's an African way. We're not sure that's an American way. Now she makes the distinction. We're not sure that's an American way. You understand what happens with our identity being played and toyed with by this type of African? This is the African that will tell you that you're not an American, that you're also an immigrant. And she has said that everybody that's in America, excluding the Indians, are immigrants. This woman is not our friend. This woman is a liar, a snake, fired for fraud, like I said, but people exalt her. And she was a no-show at a convention, supposedly behind President Otto. Supposedly, but we really don't know. That's what we're being told. The government, it's the government. Everything we do, it goes on to read, we draw back from our African values, she said of herself and her husband. Today, Africa House, a former slave plantation, has been turned into an oasis of African culture in Tennessee, in the hub of thought, strategic thinking, and activity where great work is taking place on behalf of Africa. Where are the Black people? Where is the plantation people that suffered slavery? Where have they been acknowledged throughout this whole entire conversation? None at all. None at all. Now she goes on to read that as a medical doctor, Dr. Ericana is a chairwoman of the African Union, what she was, y'all. African Diaspora Health Initiative, AUADHI. The African Union is a confederation of 54 African states. But again, she was fired for fraud, like I said. In this capacity, she is charged with mobilizing healthcare workers throughout the African diaspora, that is people of African descent living outside of Africa, to assist in addressing the healthcare crises in Africa. So again, she is the owner of a plantation. She allowed the people's bloodline that was involved in slave trade to live free of charge 3 months, and they're fond of each other and they're friends right now. But where has there been a blessing for Black Americans in that whole equation? None. And that's how she wants it. That's why she has an issue with us. And she's always harping on us on what we're going to do for Africa. Mr. Ghana says, I've been traveling more. I dip into YouTube when I'm free. Yep. I hope you stick around some. And what's up, Martin Orwood? Thank you for coming through. You said, please post link to article. I don't know how to do that, but all you have to do is put down, let me show you if I can go back. Her long name. I reference her name as Dr. Ericana, but her last name is a lot longer than that. You just put down Ericana Kier Hombre Qual, Dr. Ericana first. And you put in the search engine, the plantation in Tennessee, and she'll pop up. And I think there's like 3 different articles on her on that topic. Lynn M says, why don't she save Africa with her wealth instead of buying plantations in America? Again, she is in the mindset that now she's our newfound slave owner. And she talks to us just as such. She's not fooling nobody. She fools people that hear her speak because of her fake passion. But I'm not fooled by her one iota. Mr. Uganda says, I'm still shocked they canceled that convention. It was authorized from November last year. So to cancel it just hours before it was set to run is disgusting. But that's what Pan-Africans or so-called Pan-Africans will do. They have no respect and they expect to be revered. That's the part that kills it. How do you expect to be put on a pedestal when you're not solid? You don't have integrity. You don't represent anything that is assurance. You don't have insurances about how you move. No one could put faith in you. Dr. Ericana, this President Otto, all these other speakers, whomever they were, you can't put faith on them. They're all about money. They're all about their own upliftment and being put on pedestals to be revered. That's what the Pan-Africans called themselves trying to touch down in Ghana were supposed to do, put those 4 speakers on pedestals as if they're gods or something, because they're speaking about Pan-Africanism. But they got let down miserably. Fucked up. Spent a lot of money though. It's one thing if you live in Ghana, you didn't spend too much money trying to make your way to the independence place, wherever it was, where that Black Star is. They didn't go out of, well, they still went out of their way to get out their house and get ready and show up and all that kind of thing. Had all this hope and all this fire that they thought they were about to share with one another and, you know, believing in this type of movement. And to be let down like that just shows you what we're working with. You said, Lynn M says, these Africans are funny, selling us Africa while they flee to America and Europe, the European. Exactly. That's why it's like, get out of my face with that mess. You're in America preaching to us about how beautiful and how peaceful Africa is. It's fucking crazy. Charlie Shaw says these Africans are morally bankrupt. Most of them are. That are definitely, if they're a Pan-African, I will go out on a limb and say they are morally bankrupt. If they're Pan-African, they're liars. Lynn M says, right, for Black, I have heard African and Caribbean immigrants say they are American because they were born, but will tell Black Americans we are not Americans. Ain't that a trip? They will vouch for themselves being American, but we can't be American. It's crazy what's going on. That's why it's imperative that we keep saying and reminding everybody that we're American first. And all these other identities need to cease being talked about as much. American should be emphasized. You said these Africans who know who they are and their heritage all of a sudden because want to become American. They most certainly do. Let me see what Mr. Uganda has put up. Hold on, let me find this. YouTube. All right. You gave the link. Thank you. I appreciate that. You said, wow, I'm sure that house is haunted. It is. But do you see how she blessed Black Americans in that house? Who did she bless? The slave traders' bloodline, the people that were racist and hated so-called Black people. And she called herself Black for the convenience of the storyline to connect herself to our history when our history is not her history. And it's a fraud. She's a fraud. She don't represent Black Americans. Kiki says, I hope it is. Charlie Shaw says, rather. Kiki says, I just think of all the bad energy that was created there. Just think about how messed up those slaves were treated in that home. And she had compassion for that man. Just think about, she believes that they on the same level as far as being masters to us. That's what she was coming off as to me. I'm just like you. I'm the master of these Black. I'm pretty sure she done had secret conversations with that man about her true feelings to make him feel at ease with befriending her. I'm pretty sure that she talked to him in such a way about whipping us into shape, about getting us together. You said, Kiki, all that trauma which seems to not have any effect. Nobody cares about our trauma. Nobody cares about our pain. We're the ones that have to care about what we have been through, because others will laugh at us and tell us to get over it while disrespecting us every way that they can. And again, showcasing the fact that she owns a plantation. What kind of mindset did you have to own a plantation? And what do you think about as you walk around thinking about all that pain and suffering and you living in there. You're celebrating that you own that plantation. It's a trip. Now, I wanted to show Ghana's economy is shaken. He, of course, this President Otto is all about making money off of anyone that will travel to Ghana. That's all we matter for, is money.
Let's start the hour with a focus on public debt. It has been a tumultuous year here across Africa. Ethiopia has been the latest country to plunge into default after it failed to honor a $33 billion payment on its Eurobond when it came due on the 11th of December. Zambia and Ghana found themselves in the exact same situation. Now, what has followed in debt restructuring and economic reform has often led citizens and broad sectors of the economy in a great deal of pain. Ghana, in all ways and one, has become the poster child for just how challenging and painful debt reform in Africa can be. Nabil Ahmed Rufai starts us off at this hour.
Ghana began the year owing $65 with a debt to GDP ratio of more than 90%. The World Bank warns that anything above 77% is likely to hamper economic growth. The unsustainable debt meant that Ghana had to seek a bailout from the International Monetary Fund to help its economy recover. The government undertook a debt restructuring program which aimed to exchange more than 40% of its local debt for new bonds amidst stiff pushback from creditors.
Under the bonds currently, on average, each bondholder earns about 20% interest per annum. So who wants to trade 20% interest per annum for a bond that this year, that person will not receive any coupon payment at all?
Despite the opposition, the government did finalize its domestic debt restructuring. In May, it secured approval for a $3 billion IMF bailout, paving way for the transfer of a first tranche of $600 million of the loan. The Paris Club, the US government, and the German government, who all form part of Ghana's bilateral creditors, have agreed to some form of debt exchange.
The biggest chunk of our debt now is commercial paper under the Eurobond. Now, that debt is owed to commercial entities who have no geopolitical forbearance for Ghana.
Like Zambia and Kenya, which are also reeling under high debt distress, Ghana has yet to finalize the restructuring of its external debts. In the midst of a wide-scale debt restricting program, Ghana's economy continues to take a hit from high inflation and a weakening local currency. The government also had to implement some IMF conditions, including utility tariff hikes and introducing new taxes to shore up revenue generation. But the implementation of the IMF conditions has further worsened the living conditions of Ghanaians, prompting a...
Who knows if these conditions was the reason why President Otto canceled? Who knows? I don't know. But I am really looking forward to his excuse. If he doesn't give an excuse whatsoever, that's going to speak volumes of how we should look at this President Otto of Ghana. There should not be I don't know what good excuse it could be to have hundreds, if not thousands of people come out and spend all that money to have a no-show convention. I really want to hear that excuse.
Of protests, the IMF has urged the government to slow down the tax reforms. The government hopes the completion of its external debt restructuring will pave way for an economic recovery. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, CGTN, Accra, Ghana.
Okay, so again, we are to be played. We are being played. Crash dummies for figment of imagination of Pan-Africanism. Let me see. Len M said something. You said, oh no, what's up, Easy X says, when a Black immigrant comes to the United States, they have 6 or 7 identities, for instance, African, Nigerian, American, African American, Black American, fraud. Yeah, but they do try to use our identity. That's why they don't want us to delineate people of color, biopic, minority, and on and on. Exactly. We don't get a chance to go through all those different changes. We're either Black American or African American, and people are fighting over us trying to maintain Black American. I was born a Black American on my birth certificate. I never changed my identity, even when African American was added. I never have called myself an African American. So I've only had one identity, Black American. Mr. Uganda says they didn't give an excuse in the formal statement. I would expect him to give one in the future. I don't know what he would say. For instance, that lady that was a past Claudine Gay, she was the president of the Harvard University. She recently resigned. When she first took office, she was known to be a Haitian American. And when she resigned, people called her Black. That's what Tariq also pointed out in his live, his recent live. How convenient. When you're successful, you get to claim the identity that sets you apart from the Black American. Then when you're in trouble, then you cloak yourself with Black. That's what they continually do, and that's what we are now understanding immigrants doing, dipping, double dipping, triple dipping with different identities to suit their own situations. We don't have the option. That's why we're trying to get them to get the fuck away from us so that we can have our own identity, and you keep your own identity, whether good or bad. What's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that, but people are trying to make it seem like there's an issue with that. Now, she was rumored to have, I think, plagiarized she was accused of plagiarism, I guess, and therefore she resigned from presidency. But she highlighted the fact that she was a Haitian, or she's a child of a Haitian immigrant who came to the United States and met in New York City as students. She talks about her identity. Again, when she resigns, all of a sudden she's Black. They do away with the Haitian. Why? Why did you do away with the Haitian? Why can't you say the Haitian used to be president of Harvard, resigns as a Haitian American? What's wrong with that? You said, I never call myself African American either. Neither have I. Never, never, never. You said the term African American has been trademarked. Google it. It was trademarked in 2016. You can be sued for using a trademark name. What? I wonder who trademarked. I would not be surprised if it was an African. Do you know who trademarked it? That would be interesting to know. Right? She said she was a Haitian American, the child of Haitian parents. Yeah. She wants to highlight. They all want to highlight when they're doing well. They want to separate themselves to make it known we're not those Black Americans. We're special. We're better than them. And then when you do something bad, all of a sudden, put it on Black. Put it on Black. Put everything on Black. It's pretty despicable. Now, I don't know if you guys have been watching Mike TV. Mike TV has been tearing up some of the Africans that are really offended about our delineation. And he had Ola, who is a Nigerian, on his show, who is obsessed with Black Americans. He's always making it known that we're not the same. He's always making it known that we have nothing in common, which I agree. And I salute him for being bold as he is, because I know that most Africans, especially in West Africa, truly feel the way in which he speaks. But they come on social media and they pretend as if they are one and the same, and they look at us as the same, and that's just not the truth. So I'm happy that Ola is making his rounds, but I mean, my God, he is truly obsessed with us. I'm trying to find when he entered into Mike so you can hear what he had to say. Hold on, let me find that. Okay, let's get to this.
And obviously, I'm a leader to these tethers. Otherwise, y'all wouldn't be tethering yourself to me and my platform, or even calling in like you're doing tonight. So, sir, we're not going to get past the question. The question is, what country do your people come from? As soon as you answer that question, we can move forward, and I'll be fair, and I'll answer a question from you.
Now, this is right before Ola comes on. I'm not quite sure where the timestamp of him coming on. I'm going to let this play for a little bit. But this is an African that really feels some kind of way with us delineating and naming ourselves. I don't see why there's so many people that's in an uproar about us having our own sense of identity. It has nothing to do with you. No one is trying to stop you from having your identity. So why stop us from having ours? It's very puzzling in how so much emotion is garnered behind our identity.
You're going to answer the question, boy. What country do your people come from?
We're from Africa, so I ain't got to
Africa is a continent, not a country. You telling me that you come from the continent and you still don't even have the wherewithal to name the country that your people are from. You just claimed the whole continent of Africa. Try again.
Try again. You're a fucking slam, bro. That's what you are. Cotton jeans. Tariq, she got old.
Why do we care about the opinion of a fleer? Your people fled because shit wasn't popping in your country. Wars, genocide, famine. Matter of fact, you probably come from the Congo, where y'all people is wearing European suits trying to be Congo daddies instead of lifting you guys up from poverty.
And
so, sir, we're not going to let you skirt past the question. What country are your people from?
Let me talk for a little bit.
You don't get to talk until you answer the question. This is how it works. So you're either going to answer the question or you're going to leave the platform. What choice is yours? What country in Africa do your people come from?
I already told you I'm from Africa. You know.
Africa is a continent. It's not a country. And check this out, FDA family. We supposed to take motherfuckers' advice. We supposed to allow them to have an opinion when they're too chicken to even tell a country they come from. And the issue with tethers is he probably looks similar to us and probably passed for us, which is why they think that we want to delineate. We want to make sure that people know we are a very specific type of black person, Indigenous leaders. We're not no first generation tanner, no second generation anchor baby, and we ain't no motherfucker that chicken shit to say publicly where the people is from. So are you going to answer the question now, or am I just going to keep roasting you? Because this is sad at this point.
Indian, but you're not roasting.
This is sad.
Speak Indian right now since you're Indigenous. Yeah, I thought so.
I'm just waiting for you to tell us where your people come from.
So you say you're
if I go to the continent, I mean, we knew your destination of ass came from the continent of Africa. We knew that. We knew you were a tether. But we just want specifics. What country does your mother and your father come from? Why won't you answer that question? Are you not proud of where you're from? Do you not have pride in your culture and your country? Obviously, you don't because you fled to America, but that's neither here nor there. Will you enlighten us on what country your family comes from?
And a fucking white neighborhood got a Jewish mother-in-law.
Where do your people come from, sir? Now you're muted so that you can continue with the nonsensical tether babble. We want to know what country, Africa, your people are from.
While this drags on a little bit, I just found an article from Ghana Web, it says that Ghana is expected to receive some 1.15 billion in funding from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank by the end of February. And this comes as bilateral creditors are currently nearing an agreement on the country's debt restructuring terms. According to the Minister of Finance, he is confident that official creditors will agree on a memorandum of understanding in a meeting scheduled for January 8th, a day after this convention was supposed to occur. This now scheduled 1.5 billion meeting happened on the 8th, which is what, today? And it goes on to read, Ghana is currently awaiting an agreement with bilateral creditors to enable the IMF Executive Board to meet to review Ghana's performance under its PCPEG program. They have restrictions to what they're able to do according to getting this money. I wonder if this has anything to do with the cancellation of the convention. The IMF program started in May with the approval of the first tranche of 600 million. The country is currently expecting the second of the 3 billion bailout. Afari Atada said the board would likely meet on January 18th after delays. He had earlier stated that the second tranche was expected to hit Ghana's account by the end of 2023. A board approval will also trigger the process for 2 World Bank disbursements totaling 550 million, says Afari Atada. The bank has committed 300 million in budgetary support and another 250 million towards Ghana's Financial Stability Fund. So we are in good shape, Bloomberg said. Again, they were supposed to meet, scheduled to meet January 8th. Does this have something to do with trying to make sure that they secure this 1.15 billion fund to have them just out the blue cancel? It is a question. I don't know if that's the answer, but it is a question that I am hoping to figure out. What's up, Edek? Thank you for coming through. Please like the video if you have not yet. What's up, Tyron? How you doing? You said Rifle Coon interrupts and brings no substance on Khazarian Empire. I know that they're long-winded. You're right. Very long-winded. All Pan-Africans, all they know how to do is yap. They're great yappers. They put you to sleep, though. They put me to sleep. I don't see how you guys can believe anything that they have to say in regards to Pan-Africanism, because they never materialize anything tangible that's a benefit to us. There has only been a showing of loss of money and being betrayed and being tricked. And this is a prime example of this so-called convention that never seen the light of day. Again, they call themselves making it right by having a so-called conference call or conference press, press conference. I'll play a little snippet of that, more of that, because that's all you got. You're not going to get anything tangible from Pan-Africans but words. And that's what they live by. They live by what can we do to make you convinced of what we're saying about how we need your money towards our goals and what we're trying to convey. There's never going to be a time where Pan-Africanism is going to materialize in us being blessed. And yes, I feel like more of us need to speak out against Pan-Africanism because, again, it is a thorn in our side.
Africa, Dr. Americana, for leading the way. The most objective, fearless, and decisive mother we have known in Africa. Before we get to Prof, I'd like to go to your right. Prof, right? Okay, let's have Prof respond to this, and then we can move to your right. Professor Piolo.
Thank you very much. My good sister, Dr. Arikana, has spoken
for me, and I believe for all of us. We came here to Accra, Ghana, to share our message. The message of hope. The message that Africa needs at this time. And there is no better place in the continent of Africa to begin that message than Accra, Ghana. It is in this Accra, Ghana that the Osage for Kwame Nkrumah, almost 67 years ago, spoke to the world and told the world that the independence of Ghana meant nothing if the continent of Africa was not free. 67 years later, we were congregating here in Accra in the very same place where the founding fathers and mothers of Ghana congregated to share the message of hope.
But isn't it funny that they did not share the message of hope in this congregation? So he's sitting in a news conference acting as if they had this gathering that they did not have because it was canceled. Now I'm going to fast forward it in hopes that someone is going to speak on why it was canceled when they were told it was canceled. Wouldn't that be interesting to hear? I want to know, is that going to even be discussed at this conference meeting?
The most dangerous person for Africa today is a colonized African. And we must challenge each and every one of us to have a serious conversation with the image in the mirror. Are you colonized? Where do you stand when it comes to the issues to do with Africa? How do you feel about the continued exploitation of Africa? How do you feel about neo-colonization, imperialism? Do you even understand it? Do you even know what the Berlin Conference means when it comes to your ability to buy bread, to your ability to get a job? Can you connect the dots back to the policies that are designed to keep us where they want us to be? It is the elite, it is the educated who are refusing to challenge the status quo and speak on our behalf, educated or not. So I'd like to answer your question by saying our miseducation is what is leading us to the Africa that we are today, an Africa that cannot stand up and defend our turf with facts, with our truths.
Again, she is in cahoots with these colonizers. She's in cahoots with these globalists. She's in cahoots with these corruptible people, such as this President Otto. Again, why is she not talking about why it was canceled? She's keeping with the message, but why was it canceled, lady? Do you have those words? Let me fast forward a little bit more and see if you get there. See if they'll get there. See if the question even comes up.
In this room, resident here. And so I know, because 3 weeks ago, as I walked through the Martin Luther King Center and looking through the history as I was talking to my mentor, that it took 82 years for the Black people to recover their voting rights. And yes, here in Africa.
Again, they're always using our history. It is so annoying. Can't you stand on your own history? Why do you always have to refer to Martin Luther King? It has nothing to do with Ghana. It has nothing to do with Pan-Africanism. It is so annoying.
Took 87 years from when ANC was formed to when Mandela became president for apartheid to be killed. And yes, Julius Malema fighting for the economic right of South Africa. Africa, with this foundation, And with you, freedom, we shall see a new Africa. Come on, put your hands together for freedom.
So this display at a conference, press conference, is supposed to replace the canceled so-called convention. And they have not so much, maybe I missed it. I will go back and try to listen to this whole hour-long discussion to see if it's brought up. But so far, it hasn't been brought up. So far, they're acting as if everything is everything. They're acting as if this is what they were supposed to do because they're not even upset. Wouldn't you be upset if you're supposed to be in the midst of a big crowd of people that came out to just listen to you? Wouldn't you be a little annoyed that you are not meeting with the crowds of people that spent all that money and time to supposedly meet with you? But you guys are not showing no tinge of irritation, no upsetness, no, they're just smug as fuck.
The promotion and the possibilities of what we can do if the African youth could be empowered, and how we can raise money to support African youth. So
there it is. How we can raise money for African youth. How we can give up what we got towards other people. Again, she's going to specify, as she normally does, so-called African Americans, because that's her go-to. She loves saying African Americans. She loves talking about look in the mirror. She loves saying you're colonized in the mind. She loves saying you're lost. She loves saying that you need to build up Africa that we want. Who is we? I don't live in Africa. I know nothing about Africa. I don't care what's built there. Sorry, I'm not there. Who is trying to tell me what I must now care about? She is. Pan-Africans are. Again, a way of trying to get to our heartstrings, try to get us to feel like we're obligated to what?
We can build the Africa that we want. That's all the conversation I've had. Anything else, I do not know. But I felt I should let all of you journalists know, because I'm sure you're going to hear the same rumor that I just heard. These are the conversations I've had with my son. And I'll tell you one more thing. When the invitation came, Professor can tell you, I didn't know my son, but I had to do homework. What got me to accept the invitation is his age and the fact that he's a youth. Because if we do not support our youth, then who is going to support them?
So now she's saying that a youth, whatever his name was, I didn't catch it, invited her for this convention, and that's why she showed up. But again, not so much to perform at this convention still. Are we going to hear the reasoning behind it, though?
I hired a young man one time. He said, "Doctor, nobody wants to hire me because I have no experience. But how do I get experience if I don't get a job to begin with?" I said, "Son, you are hired." I accepted an invitation from Nana, not because I knew him, but because of his age and the amazing things that he's doing at such a young age. It is that plain and simple. Anything else is a lie. I just wanted to clear that up.
So she's saying, it says, we are not here to further Nana Betta Akko's political ambitions, Dr. Kwambwe Kwao says. Are they trying to say he has something to do with it being canceled? I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some more research. Let's listen a little bit more.
visited me, and I got a call from him and he said, he's around somewhere in Lagos. Can you come and visit me? I said, no, I'll come and visit you. And he was saying about it. He said, since you're thinking about this, I'll come and visit you. And surprisingly, on arrival in Accra today, a young lady came and looked at and said, I work with the youth and entrepreneurship. And I want you to talk or help about entrepreneurship. I said, we're coming to Ghana to talk about entrepreneurship. And you just asked me a question. How do we start entrepreneurship among the youth in Africa? I say, fight one thing, corruption. And you look at me. I say, corruption kills three things that makes a society. It kills entrepreneurship. Nobody thinks in a corrupt country because there's easy money to make, but still, it kills professionalism. So you don't have professors doing research any longer.
Now, he was the candidate, one of the candidates of Nigeria. A lot of people thought that he should have won. They thought that it was kind of rigged, that the now president, Tinubu is the president. And his voice is, I don't know, is kind of off. But I'm going to fast forward again to see if someone else is going to express they're upset about the cancellation of this convention. Like I said, a lot of people got their feelings hurt. A lot of people assumed it was going to be a good, phenomenal time, and they wasted their time and lost a lot of money. And I think that they could do better to express that.
Comes from wisdom, comes from understanding. You need to get this value from your own surroundings. I grew up partly in Ghana, partly in England, and I came back to Africa. 2001. Unlike Martin Luther, I did not have a dream. I had a vision. I started watching the youth in the streets and the roads, the rules and the regulations, the conditions and the constitutions that is stipulated and embedded on us as Africans. I had to walk on a different path, and I was alone. My investment on the roads became a landmark. And whatever I invested on this landmark is a footprint. I am here.
Again, it's all about investing. It's all about giving up what we got towards Africa. It is totally anti-Black American. It is not trying to uplift us. It is not a benefit to us, in my opinion. And you can tell by what they say, how they move. It is what it is. And hopefully our people will wake up and raise from the slumber of being duped and tricked into believing an ideology that is not a benefit to them whatsoever, and is not trying to bless us in any fashion and form. This is the truth about Pan-Africanism. That's why they can dip on having a convention, because it's all about the money. They still got their money. They just made a whole lot of people upset about not showing up. And they're not even really doing a good job expressing what happened. They know more than what they're telling. They don't feel the necessity to tell, obviously, from what I've heard so far. They're just keeping on with the message of the youth. They're keeping on with the message of building Africa. They're keeping on with the message of, we need you to look in the mirror, Black Americans, to get your act together and understand who you really are. All this type of crap. But who we really are Americans. And that's what this battle with Pan-Africanism ultimately will be about. Trying to trip us out of our Americanness and trying to Africanize us to their debt. That's the truth. And that's not a go for me. Let me see what you guys are saying. What's up? You said, what respect? No one is going to kill Pan-Africanism on a panel. Nothing really materializes from panel other than the accumulation of minutes spent on live, Mr. Uganda says. Well, it is an accumulation of the mindset that we need to correct ourselves. The more that we have panels, the more that we talk about the reality of what Pan-African is, one by one, we can start changing our mindset to reality versus the fantasy of Pan-Africanism that is not a benefit to us. It's only a benefit to the people that's preaching it. It's plain and simple. And they're going to designate who they want to be blessed with money that they take from you. And it will never be us. We will always be last. This world is showing us we're going to always be last until we decide that we're not going to be everybody's footstool, rather. We cannot continue to be everybody's footstool. And we have got to now look out for ourselves. That's why delineation by many Africans, especially Western Africans, are so offensive, because they thought they had us in the palm of their hand. They thought that they were about to control us and mold us. And now they're seeing that we are raising up and we're trying to have some self-respect for ourselves. We're trying to be mindful of being aware about the conditions of today. We're trying to walk through reality as it is. And people don't like that, because as long as we dream and have a dream, or talk about a faraway place, talk about we belong to other people that betrayed a so-called ancestor, that mindset right there is blown. I mean, is mind-boggling to even think that we could even get there. But a lot of people that are Pan-Africans, for some strange reason, they want to exalt slave traders. And that will never be a blessing to us. In my opinion, that will never be a blessing to us. We see it. They show it. These 4 people or 3 people that were supposed to be speaking at a convention, they're not even upset that people have been duped. You didn't get out a sense of any irritation of how dare this happen this way. All these people that came this far to see us, how disappointed. They did not show any inkling of disturbed. None of it. They were calm, cool, and collected, as if kind of like it should have happened. It's very weird with their reaction. And if people want to still stay Pan-Africanism, you deserve whatever you get. You deserve to be left with nothing, because you are a crash dummy. Easy X says, shut the F up with your message. This same guy said that Africa and Africans will be recolonized in 25 years. He spoke with double tongues, Easy X says. All a bunch of hot air, exactly. Charlie Shaw says, Mr. Ganda, Pan-Africanism hasn't materialized anything online or in real life, except for the loss of money, though, Charlie Shaw. In the name of Pan-Africanism has been a whole lot of scamming. In the name of Pan-Africanism has been a whole lot of debt, a whole lot of court proceedings, and still going on. In the middle of court proceedings, we don't know how it's going to end in the next year or two. Or is all that investment that people have put into building something, is it all going to be for naught? Will they be told to leave the land in which they've been building on? And that will devastate a whole lot of people if they lost their life savings, or a big chunk of money that they didn't have to lose. And the time it spent, the time it took to build these ongoing cases is still pending. And people still think that we should get in line and do the same thing that others have done that has got them burnt or potentially in trouble. This is all we have to look forward to. How many ways can we get burnt? How many ways can we get bankrupt or scammed or lied to? As I said, these speakers, Dr. Ericana, this professor, this past candidate, Obi, I think, they should have had a little bit more anger or something about the people that actually came that got let down. They thought it was good enough to do a press conference to correct a canceled convention. That is the mindset of Pan-Africanism. They think of y'all as peons, as slaves, to do what they tell you to do and how to think and how to be. They have no consideration for y'all who have lost money. But if you continue to believe in this Pan-Africanism, you earned what you get. And I'm not going to feel sorry for you. Let me see. Mr. Uganda says, right, because all talk and no action yields nothing, especially when it's only told the action needs to come from people that's not even from Africa. That shit is crazy. Charlie Shaw says, buying a home over there is not Pan-Africanism. I don't even think Pan-Africanists know what it is. It's capitalism. Buying a home. Easy Access, notice none of these panties talk about getting arms and nuclear weapons. They ain't revolutionary, but panties go to Africa and plant bananas, nuts, and coconuts. Yeah. As if the globalizers are not going to keep doing what they're doing. They're always going to have their hand and feet in Africa. Ain't no colonizer or globalizer who's already in Africa is ever going to leave. It's a done deal. King Shaq Judah, is this a reparations hearing? No, it is Pan-African supposed press conference that should have been a convention, but they flaked. The government supposedly flaked. President Otto canceled the convention the day on, the same day. What's up, Tyron? Charlie Shaw says, Martin Luther King, here we go again, I know, had a speech that said we are Americans and we have to come to grips with that, and that we have no connection to Africa or the people. So I'm surprised they referenced him. They always reference our leaders. They springboard off of our leaders because, again, their leaders, I don't know if they have a lot of faith in them. I don't know what to call it. I don't know why they seem to always want to talk about our leaders. Lynn says they think we don't know MLK and they think we don't know our history. They are hungry, sad people. Corrupt, that is. And I'm talking about Pan-Africans, the likes of Dr. Eric Connor, the likes of all the speakers. These corruptible people. They're just using Pan-Africanism as a means to get to us. Lynn M says she never speaks to these Africans that have fled because they know they are not going back. Exactly. She has nothing ever to say about Africans and what they're not doing. It always comes back simply to us, and it is very annoying. As I stated before, I'm going to conclude. I'm going to play the reasonings for her being fired again because I am sick and tired of people putting that lady on a pedestal. There's nothing about her righteous. There's nothing about her that is a benefit to Black Americans. Again, they weren't pissed about this convention being suddenly canceled. I believe they may be in on it because if it was me, and I expected to see thousands of people, and I'm put in a room at a press conference, I would be livid. But she wasn't. None of them were. So they must be in on it. Again, I'm going to be waiting to hear the rationale behind canceling the day on, the same day, this convention that never occurred. But again, like I said, when you are corrupt, when you, hold on, let me change this. When you have an agenda, you know, you guys are working for other things. Like I said, who knows if the IMF at the last minute told Ghana that they could not have that convention or it would go against them getting money. It is something to really consider. But let me play yet again, for those who have never heard, the real reason why Dr. Arikana was fired, and this comes from NPR. This is the real reason for her true firing, because a lot of people are not knowing, or they don't care to know. They just care about how she sounds and looks. That seems to be enough for most of us that would just let it slide. But if she can scam as an ambassador, she can scam as a Pan-Africanist. And we don't need to be bothered with someone like her, period.
Has ended the term of its charismatic and outspoken ambassador to the United States. Tens of thousands have come to her defense, claiming she's been unfairly targeted for her anti-colonial speech. But an internal investigation report obtained by NPR paints a different picture of the ambassador, one of a rogue, corrupt, and self-dealing diplomat. Here's NPR's Ader Peralta.
On her final day on the job in Washington, D.C., Dr. Arikana Chihumbori Kwao is defiant. She speaks about how colonial powers like France continue to pillage Africa.
No more shall we continue to be exploited. That's right. France can no longer take 500 billion out of Africa.
Dr. Kwao served more than 3 years as ambassador, and she had become quite popular among the African diaspora. When her term was ended by the African Union last month, almost 90,000 people signed an online petition asking the AU to reinstate her. The petition claims that she was fired because of that kind of speech and called her dismissal unjust. But an internal investigation by the African Union alleges that Dr. Kwao misappropriated funds, that she created a toxic environment for her staff, and that she fundraised for personal projects using the African Union name. The investigation, for example, found that Dr. Kwao spent $181,000 on an AU beauty pageant. The money, the investigation found, was earmarked for other projects, but Dr. Kwao did not seek approval to spend that money on the pageant. Not only that, but investigators found she sold tickets online for up to $150 a person. But Dr. Kwao did not turn over sales to the African Union. Reached by phone, Dr. Kwao calls the investigation a sham and a witch hunt. She says she used ticket proceeds to pay members of the diaspora who had experience putting together events like these.
I don't think even one of them got $1,000 for 4 months of working.
The investigation also found that a $10,000 grant from Chevron was never accounted for. Dr. Kwao says that money never came to the African Union. She says when she became ambassador, she found an office in disarray.
The problem was you are dealing with an office with staff that had no clue. That was really the problem with this mission.
She says she tried to make the mission more dynamic, but the staff, she says, always resisted her. She says when an auditor came in, he believed the staff and not her. In her view, this investigation was the staff's attempt to railroad her.
They don't come to work. When I am out of town, they don't show up at all. And they're stealing, by the way. Stealing frivolous claims for education, frivolous claims for healthcare. It is a horrible office. The staff is stealing money. No question about it.
Eva Kalondo, a spokesperson for the chief of the African Union Commission, says she will not comment on an internal investigation, but she confirmed that the report obtained by NPR was authentic. Kalondo says Dr. Kwao is a political appointee serving at the pleasure of the AU chair, and he has simply decided her time was up.
This is diplomatic practice around the world since diplomatic practice began.
When confronted with Dr. Kwao's allegations about the AU mission in Washington, Kalondo says the AU is a diplomatic service, not, quote, group therapy. Ader Peralta, NPR News, Nairobi.
Again, there's a lot of people that don't know about it, about her true nature of being fired, because they believe in this notion of this made up story that because she spoke out against France and their continued colonization of 14 different African countries, that she spilled the beans on that truth. Somehow that irritated, upset the French president and caused her to be fired, not the fraud. So the leaking of this information I had found out initially by a Boer or Australian guy who used to live in South Africa, who was keeping up with South African politics and South African affairs. He was dropped information about her firing by a Pan-African Alliance group. So it was actually from a Pan-African Alliance group that had leaked the information to him. And I didn't take just his words for it. I went to a law library and got a letter that was sent to Washington, D.C. on behalf of her true firing. So she legally was fired as the ambassador, but people still are saying because she speaks truth to power that they believe that that's the reason for her being fired. And again, it plays into her script. It plays into her Pan-African talk. And it's unfortunate that people have so much faith in people that are so fraudulent, but that's what it is. And hopefully people will wake up. They gave no respect for this convention. Again, could it have been stopped behind IMF and their restrictions for this and that and the other? Could they at the last minute, because they were meeting the next day, tell President Otto that if you do that, you won't get this money, or it's in risk of getting the money? Maybe they didn't want to take no chances in losing that 1.5 million that they're supposed to get. It is a good question that needs to be answered, though. But the point being is they don't respect their word. They don't respect people. They don't respect other people's money. They don't respect nothing but themselves. And it's a true indicator with this convention being stopped the same day. No respect. Pan-Africans don't have to respect you, though.
Why must this happen on an African soil? On Kwame Nkrumah's soil. This place is where Kwame Nkrumah hailed from, the father of African unity. How do we unite when you call on people from all across the globe? I believe there are people who came from America to be part of this program. There are people who came from Asia and Europe to be part of this program. Why today are their dreams being shattered? This shouldn't be happening. The leadership of this country must be here accountable for this. They are there to protect our joy, our rights. They shouldn't be disturbing our rights.
So think about it. This is going to either break people from Pan-Africanism or embolden others to make it seem like they need to put these 4 or 3 speakers even higher regard. Like y'all tripping yourselves into putting these people that flaked on you on a higher plateau in your mind. You're going to trip yourself into doing that if you believe that you should have been done like that, especially the ones that went, especially the ones that flew out. If they still have the mindset that this is all gravy, crazy.
This is what I have to say for now, as we hold on to see how the show go on. You here to this program today to hear the leaders that are motivating and inspiring young people and even me, old people, to really work for this country, to come back and work for this country.
We're inspired by yappers that have not put no knuckle in the game, that have not spent a tilly of a sacrifice towards anything other than yapping. That's what Pan-Africanism is. You have to love on people speaking real good, but they're not about shit. They ain't sacrifice shit. They're talking down to other people that needs to do what they want them to have done, and nothing more.
To stop giving our money to China, to stop giving our money to Europe, to stop giving our money to America and our human resources as well. We are here. We must rise for ourselves. We must own our own story. We must tell it like it is. And this is a tell it like it is moment. Okay? I came here to hear what is going on, to hear it like it is. Our story, our own story, from anybody else. This is why I'm here. Now, at the last minute, I woke up at 5 o'clock because, you know, I'm from America. I'm always on time. And I'm told at the last minute the program is not going on. Why? Why is the program not going on? You mean I saw all these people flying into Kosovo? People are here, coming from far and near. Why? No reason at all given whatsoever. The powers above. Now, God hasn't shut this down, so don't use that one. Okay? Powers above. I don't know who the powers are, but they have shut this down. So how disappointed or how frustrating should it be? Well, again, I am frustrated, but the people that should be frustrated are these young people that came here with their last kobo. Last kobo. You were even, the soldier told me I will walk home. He might be right. I might have to walk home. Hallelujah. Because the transportation fare is Accra right now. Hey, it not be small okay? So, you came from one.
It's very interesting how she says she's from America, but she is a Ghanaian American. And they were just trying to find someone that can claim America. It was very interesting how they pulled, yeah, even the Americans are there. I wonder how many Americans really were there. But even still, even if there was just a handful of them, the point is those handful, whoever you were, got. You believed in the figment of your imagination, this Pan-Africanism. And again, I believe something's telling me in my spirit the IMF came a-calling. And they might have said that this will be a risk, or maybe President Addo just figured he wasn't going to take the chance. He was not going to take the chance with having this meeting the very next day. He wasn't going to take a chance. But he knew, as it was planned 2 months before, and he approved for this convention to happen, he knew that it was still going to garner money. So even if he knew even then, he still said yes, knowing damn well he was going to ultimately cancel. Think about that for a change. Think about if he knew as soon as he said yes that he was never, ever going to let it go through because the IMF meeting of trying to get $1.5 billion was on the table. What if he already knew, but is still approved having this so-called convention he knew he was going to cancel? Ain't that some shit? Think about that. He was going to benefit one way or the other with the tourists trying to get to Ghana to see this conference. He still was not going to lose no money and get the 1.5 the next day. Talking about $1.15 billion. Ain't that something? He upped the win. But the people and the people that took that plane flight, got that hotel, bought those new clothes, went through all those different changes, they looked like fools. They felt like fools. They had to have felt like fools.
You came from Bogatanga, you came from Accra, you came from Kumasi, you came from Cape Coast, you came to come here for somebody to tell you, the program is not coming on. Minister, that is why we have done the setup here. But unfortunately, from afar,
wish they would span around the whole entire area to see how many people were truly there, because they're kind of staying in one specific spot, making it seem like a lot more people than might even be there. Maybe it was a total flop. I don't know. But the point is, the people that did go, irregardless, they got. And this is Pan-Africanism. President Otto got some explaining to do. I wonder if he will be a man to even talk about it, or is he just going to blow it off? That's going to be very, very interesting if he does. But that's going to showcase more and more of this type of individual that I have been warning us about. Ghana is out for themselves. They're out for his ilk, his kind, his peeps. He's not concerned about the people of Ghana, and he's most certainly not concerned about anyone else. Most definitely. So, anyways, they always reveal themselves. The truth is always revealed. People that still want to have faith in Pan-Africanism, have at it. But when you get got out, do my best and report it. So I hope that you'll be bold enough to at least tell the story of what happened when you do get burnt, so that maybe you can be the last sacrifice towards being duped and fooled and disrespected. You said, damn, at times I wish you had a StreamYard. I know. Lynn says they think we don't know our history. Okay, I read that before. You said, I noticed that they called a group of Jamaican Americans who went to Ghana Black Americans. They do that a lot. Exactly. Everybody conveniently uses our name to make it seem like we're involved more than what we are. I think she was a Ghanaian American, but all she had to say is, I'm from America. And that's supposed to suffice for all of us, even if we weren't really there. But again, this is very, very telling about this President Otto and about these speakers, because again, they weren't upset about nothing. They were smooth, cool. They still got their cut. They're still going to get their cut for showing up. Don't you know? Ghana's President Otto is not going to leave them high and dry. Don't you know? Don't you know that he's going to give them a cut? Don't you know? So for them not to be upset means that they're going to be compensated for them showing up. Get it? So that's why they didn't show no irritants from what happened. And I just think that is unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. Let me see if I can find any inkling. Let me see. I'm trying to find another. No, all you're going to get is the same rhetoric of Pan-Africanism from this liar.
Who is sitting at the boardroom table? It is the elite, the educated. So my son, what is our education doing to us? What have we done to undo the colonial education? I hear right here in Ghana, perfect example. There's not a single Kwame Nkrumah book that is required reading in the Ghanaian educational system. Whose problem is that? Most African countries, our educational system is still the colonial educational system. So what do you expect from the leaders that we have today if their education remains colonized? So may I say, the most dangerous person for Africa today is a colonized African. And we must challenge each and every one of us to have a serious conversation with the image in the mirror. Are you colonized?
And that's the rhetoric you're going to keep hearing. That's all manipulation, trying to brainwash us and all of that. But all that jazz, but no irritation when it comes to standing up hundreds, if not thousands of people at a so-called convention that you were to speak at, and 3 others. No inkling of no disgust, nothing, no emotion, because you're getting paid. You're gonna get paid from that 1 point something billion dollars, 1.15 that's coming. You're getting your cut, even if it's like 100,000, 200,000. You still getting something to make you feel okay about coming. But the people that spent that money, they just lost their money. They lost their time. They can't get it back. That's all it would always be. This is a sign from heaven. This scenario, in my opinion, should really open up eyes and ears about this figment of imagination called Pan-Africanism. It is not a benefit at all to Black Americans. It's only a benefit to the few corrupt leaders of Africa. That's it. That is all. That's all you're shown. That's all it's been. What else are you to believe in? What can you muster up in you to believe? I mean, my God, you got faith like that for Pan-Africanism? Wow. All right. So I really appreciate everybody for coming. I think I was going to try to play a song. If you guys can think of a song real quick, I can play before I go. But I just hope that we will wake up and raise up to how we need to be, how we need to think, how we need to see this new world emerging in front of our faces. And we cannot keep putting ourselves in jeopardy of being disrespected and, just messed with. Let me see if this video is going to give an explanation, because this guy called the New Africa channel, he has a new video talking about Ghana government under fire. Again, I don't think that the speakers are going to lose out on anything. They're going to get blessed with their appearance. President Otto is going to do right by them. And that's about it.
This video was made possible by Mizizi International, the official.
And by the way, fair use of all videos, if I didn't say, for educational purposes, for research, for reality checks realized and lies denied. I want us to wake up from escapism, and Pan-Africanism is definitely escapism.
Voices such as Professor Piero Lumumba of Kenya, EFF leader Julius Selo Malemo, South Africa, former Nigerian presidential candidate Peter Obi, and former permanent representative of the African Union to the United States, Dr. Arikana Chiumbori Kwao of Zimbabwe, were scheduled to speak at a highly anticipated Pan-African political event in Ghana on January 7, 2024. However, the event dubbed the convention was abruptly cancelled, sparking criticism and disappointment from attendees, dignitaries, and observers across Africa. What was this event about? Why has the Ghanaian government stopped it from happening as planned? And why are people criticizing the government of Ghana for the event's cancellation? In today's video, we will offer deep insight into these questions and more. Before we dive into our topic today, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channels and ringing the bell to be notified about all.
Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. This conversation, more of us, I hope, will start having more conversations about this Pan-Africanism, this hustle, this bankrupt tool of Black Americans, so that we can see things as they are and talk accordingly.
Exciting future videos. In an unexpected turn of events, the New Africa Foundation, the organizers of the convention, a highly anticipated Pan-African event that was scheduled to take place at Ghana's Blackstar Square on January 7, 2024, released an official statement at the last minute, confirming the abrupt cancellation of the much looked forward to gathering. We regret to inform you that the government has cancelled the above Pan-African event, which was to take place today at the Independence Square in Accra, Ghana. We have just been informed of the cancellation of this event a couple of hours before its commencement. We understand the anticipation and excitement surrounding this event, and we share in the disappointment of our supporters. Please be aware that this situation is and was beyond our control. The statement read. The politically affiliated event, which was approved in November 2023, sought to bring together thought leaders in Africa, including Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, Peter Obi, Julius Malema, and others to speak on key challenges confronting Africa's development. The convention was also speculated to be associated with unveiling the leader of the new force political movement, a nascent political movement spicing up Ghana's scene with social media-driven campaigns like the Man in the Mask and calls for youth inclusion. Though unregistered, shrouded in some controversy, and tapping into dissatisfaction with current parties, attracting young Ghanaians, and stirring debate about alternative voices and approaches to the country's future. Consequently, the announcement of the abrupt cancellation came as an unpleasant surprise to the patrons, journalists, dignitaries, and thousands of attendees who were present at the venue, eagerly anticipating the unveiling of a potential new leader and a transformative political agenda. The sudden cancellation left everyone puzzled with conflicting accounts emerging about the reasons behind the last-minute decision. While some contend that the gathering was stopped by the police and national security acting on government orders, others assert that some speakers, including Dr. Rikana Chiombori Kwao, failed to turn up, leading to the event cancellation. The Office of the President's Diaspora Affairs Directorate offered an explanation for the sudden cancellation of the Convention 2024, saying the decision to revoke the permission was prompted by the emergence of an unforeseen state event scheduled to take place at the Black Star Square venue at the same time. The Office of the President's Diaspora Affairs Directorate also revealed that the 10,000 Ghana cedis paid by the organizers for the venue's use would be refunded and apologize for any inconvenience caused. However, this so-called clarification from the Office of the President's Diaspora Affairs Directorate did little to assuage the disappointment and skepticism of all interested parties. Many are questioning how the event, which received official approval from the government of Ghana itself in November 2023, had now somehow conflicted with an unforeseen state event scheduled to take place at the same venue and time. The presence of several armed military men and police who manned the entrance to the Black Star Square, preventing entry to members of the public, also raised a lot of eyebrows, with many questioning the need for such force in preventing a simple Pan-African event from taking place. Hours after the cancellation, the leaders of the convention organized...
It seems like they're drumming up some propaganda to me. It seems like they all in on it. They're too calm, cool, and collected for it not to be. It is just a little bit too cute and calm for me. This is what you guys are riding with, though. This is what people are putting their mindset on. This is what they're having faith into. Liars.
Conference at cantonments. Professor P.L.O. Lumumba said, "We came to Ghana to share a message of hope that Africa needs at this time, and there's no better place to begin that message than Accra, Ghana. It is in Accra that Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, almost 67 years ago, spoke to the world and said, independence of Ghana is meaningless until it's linked with the independence of the African continent." He added that 67 years later, they were gathering in Accra at the very spot where Ghana's founding fathers had stood to make declaration, but they were strangely stopped. Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, however, said, "The message will be served as the journey of hope continues with the timing and nature of the convention's cancellation, as well as the subsequent comments from the event organizers and the Office of the Presidency, have led many to believe the Ghanaian government, currently led by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is on a mission to quell dissenting voices, compromising Ghana's much-cherished democratic values. It is noteworthy that the event was also touted to be the platform that will officially unveil the face behind the fast-rising opposition New Force movement. So the fact that the entire event was cancelled so abruptly reflects poorly on the government. Already, the spokesperson for the New Force movement, Belgian businesswoman Shalima Nabisi, has been arrested and re-arrested and even had a residency permit revoked by the Ghana Immigration Service. Many view this as a thinly veiled attempt by the Akufo-Addo government to simply frustrate political opposition. Currently, there are conflicting narratives. One on hand, the government of Ghana claims the convention was cancelled at the last minute because it conflicted with a state event scheduled to take place at the same time and venue. On the other hand, even though the event's organizers acknowledged the cancellation in a statement, they did not corroborate the government's narrative of the convention conflicting with a state event scheduled to take place at the same venue and time. Although there is a lot of confusion,
they're playing games. He maximized the potential for people to show up for both of these so-called day that you're supposed to have this gathering. He didn't care. He already knew that he was canceling. It all makes sense. If you already know that you're not going to have nothing going on that day because you're trying to get money from the IMF, and you're not going to risk losing that money, but you have an opportunity to get more money by supposedly having people come for dates or the same day for this convention and this other so-called gathering that was scheduled the same day. You maximize the day for potential for money for that day, irregardless. You still got people that are going to stay. They're not going to get right back on a plane and go where they just came from when it took them hours to get to Ghana. It's a win-win for him. It's cold-blooded, though. Very cold-blooded, calculating. Very, very sleazy. And this is the guy that wants us to put his government or his country in our high regard. How can you trust somebody like this guy?
The anticipated unveiling of the face behind the new force movement at the convention, which never came to fruition, the presence of heavy security at the venue to stop people from entry, weak explanation from the government, and historical occurrences, such as the arrest of some of the new forces' top brass, lends more credence to the speculation that the Ghanaian government is trying to kill dissenting voices, raising concerns about potential infringements on freedom of association and free speech in the country. Your perspective matters. Do you think the Ghanaian government is guilty of deliberately suppressing free speech and freedom of association to kill the opposition? Share your insights and thoughts in the comments below. For continued updates on global affairs and diplomatic development.
Again, I would never, ever put myself in a position where I had to rely on that type of guy. And I will never put myself in a position to rely on fraudulent past ambassadors and past speakers or current speakers or whatever they are as a way to have faith in an ideology that's not working nowhere. But suddenly you're going to put all your faith like Jesus, like you believe in Jesus, like you're believing in Pan-Africanism on the level of having that much faith. You have blind faith in something that's not proved or provable. And the people that you're fixating on are not solid individuals. They're not. I believe that those speakers are going to be compensated for what has happened, for sure. They're going to get a cut. And this story is going to continue when this president has his excuse behind why he did what he did. If he does not say anything at all, man, that's going to be really an effed up move. But we have to wait and see. Now I'm going to play a song and then I'm going to go. I wanted to hear Howard Hewitt. I haven't heard him in a while. But I really appreciate everybody for coming. For those who have not yet, please like and share the video and subscribe to my channel.
get serious. I won't play games with your tender heart. And when I look into your eyes and say I love you, girl, that's how I feel. I'm for real, I'm for real. Your love to me is very serious. I won't play games. I won't play games with your tender heart. When I look into your eyes and say I love you, girl, that's how I feel. I'm for real. I'm for real. I said your love to me is very serious. I won't play games. I won't play games with your tender heart. Into your eyes and say I love you, girl. That's how I feel. I'm for real. Your love to me is very serious. I won't play games.
Oh, wow, I missed that song, y'all. Okay, I'm going to play your song. I don't know who that is, but let me find her. Give me a minute. Allison Williams. I don't just call my name. Okay. I might know it, just don't remember her name. Let me see. I got to find one that's not copywritten. Okay, let me see if this is going to work. Thank you all for participating in the chat room. It makes the live a lot better. If you guys have anything that you want me to talk about or things that you want me to know in reference to Pan-Africanism or stuff that you might find out about, you know, let me know, because I don't think I know everything. I'm always trying to learn other things besides what I find out. So I'm not too big in learning what other people might find out that I don't know. And I think that that's how it should be, where we help each other out and share information and build each other. You know, don't conceal information that could be helpful to us.
Just call my name and just call my name and come running. Never had a love that you could call on when you were in trouble. Never had a love who comes to you on the double. There's no need to look no further. I'm waiting here for you. Just call my name and come running. Just call my name. And that's what you feel it, no. Never have to fear that I won't have time for you when you worry. If you need me near
Just call and die. Be there in a hurry. All you have to do is snap your fingers. I'll be here for you. Just come on in. Oh, sugar. I'm gonna be right there to you if you just call my name. Crying all alone. All you have to do is dial my number before the next teardrop falls. Just call my don't be afraid. Oh no. Just call my I'm waiting. You can't believe that I will. You should care. Why are you crying? Don't you know, baby? Before the next teardrop falls, just call my name. Yes, I will. Nobody can love you like I will, boy. I'm gonna be there for you, darling. Yes, I will. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be near, or you could be far, but it don't matter to me, baby. Oh, don't you know I'm set? Oh, I know that love like you nowhere. Yeah, I'm so glad. So glad that I know that I have your love. Ooh, you make me feel so real. Nobody in the world has it like you do, darling. It's all on you. Just pick up the phone, don't worry, 'cause you know I'm home. Waiting for you, baby. Always gonna be there. I dare you to try it for yourself, 'cause you know it's there. Just call my name. I'll be there till the end. Till the end. If you ever need a friend. I do remember that song, but I don't remember the name. Wow. Time is flown. What's up, Seven Golly? Thank you for coming through. I really appreciate you. And Easy X says you have the info. I gave you my my email for you to drop it off there, but we'll talk again. And I'm gonna play the last song, which is Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway, Back Together Again. I really appreciate everybody's support. I know that I have a lot of people that don't understand a lot of things that I'm saying, but hopefully this video will resonate with more people because, you know,
the truth you can't hide forever. You know, the truth has to come out and be revealed. So it is what it is.
Silence.
Thank you all for coming through. Please like and share the video and bless up. I'll see you guys in a couple of days. Thank you.